Hopefully you can hear me. We ready to go? Huh? It's Thursday night. Tomorrow night, do you know this? It'll be 4 years since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have won Super Bowl 55. Can you believe it's been that long, guys? Hopefully you can hear this. It's the evolution of sports talk television. You gotta love it. Here we go. Oh, you think so, huh? You don't think there's any sound effects?
Acknowledge me!
You better super chat it. You heard that, didn't you? I know you did. And we're on TikTok tonight, too. Hello, TikTok. How you doing? Let's see if we can do this, huh? Oh, you didn't hear anything yet, huh? All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. And how do we start off this show on a Thursday night edition instead of Wednesday? Because, again, sometimes you got to recharge the batteries a little bit. Hopefully we can Can you guys hear sound effects? This is what I want to know right now. This is exactly what I want to know. Hopefully you can hear that. 3 things. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll be talking about what else? Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers making all kinds of moves when it comes to coaches being hired. Myles Garrett trade rumors out there because officially he is on the trading block as he asked the Cleveland Browns. Oh, somebody said, heck yeah. So I guess Roger Shue there, the tribal troll,
acknowledge me,
owes me a YouTube super chat. But Myles Garrett asked for a trade from the Cleveland Browns. We kind of talked about this, didn't we? Yeah, I kind of foreshadowed to it that this would be a guy that the Bucs should be interested in when it comes down to it, either him or Max Crosby. Just saying. So we'll see what can happen with that as the offseason just gets more and more interesting. Of course, Radio Row, Super Bowl 59, just a couple days away, with the Kansas City Chiefs going for 3 in a row versus the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about that matchup? As we are live here on TikTok, I want to read this comment really quick. Hey, Peter and crew, I hope the Bucs look at trading for Myles Garrett. That's a game changer edge rusher. I take Myles, Max Crosby, or Trey Hendrickson, which are the options at this point. And there was one former Buccaneer who was around Radio Row at this point. Let me go ahead, fix that right there. Oh, there we go. Got my hair in tune here. Why it's looking, hold on a sec here. There we go. Okay. I looked like Alfalfa there from the Little Rascals. They didn't want to have that. Didn't want to have that scene at all. But there's been one former Tampa Bay Buccaneer who has said around Radio Row that the Bucs should go after him. So the phone lines are open if you want to talk about that. If you want to talk about Super Bowl 59, who do you like in that matchup? What do you think about the Bucs' latest moves here? We'll get to that. Former USF head coach Charlie Strong has been hired as the defensive line coach. Strong, 64, has been hired as the defensive line coach. He replaces Casey Rogers. He says, according to the Tampa Bay Times, I'm so excited just to be back and have this opportunity. They have a really good team and some really good players. It's just a matter of building on the success they already had. Chris Braswell was at Alabama, of course, the last couple years here. And if you guys don't remember, Strong was fired in 2019 after going 21-16 in 3 seasons at USF, 0-6 versus ranked opponents. Then got hired by Urban Meyer with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we know how that all worked out. Not too well. And then he was under Nick Saban with Alabama as a consultant. He also had this to say, coached at Florida. So, he's a Gators linebacker and defensive ends, worked a defensive coordinator there from 2003 to 2009. He says college has almost become the NFL with all the NIL, name, image, and likeness money and the transfer portal, which is free agency. At least in the NFL, I know who the free agents are. Well done. Well said. So we could talk about that. What do you think? Also, not just that, Kevin Carberry is now, according to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, promoted Carberry to run game coordinator and assistant offensive line coach, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, Brian Pacucci will move up as the offensive line coach. Of course, both of those guys got blocked from going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there you go. So lots of things to talk about when it comes to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Open phone lines, as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And by the way, just saying, because I know you guys out there are big-time Bucs fans, and I know Harry the Greek is going to love this.
Let's go!
Right? You're going to love this.
How about them Bucs, baby?
You're going to love this.
It's exciting!
Right? Where's my Bucs tune at right there? There's a reason why I'm playing this. Here we go. B-U-C-C-A-N-E-E-R-S. Go. By the way, tomorrow night, it's been 4 years since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. Don't think I forgot about that, because I didn't. And I want you to remember this, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, because even if Kansas City does defeat the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend and wins 3 in a row, just remember who their daddy is. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So lots to talk about here tonight on this show. Let's go out to the comments. As always, Roger Shue says first. Roger Shue says no sound effects again this week. Not so fast, my friend.
Acknowledge me.
Not so fast at all. What would it cost the Bucs to get Myles Garrett? That has definitely been the talk around the NFL. And let me just look at my notes. But just looking, one general manager told Diane Rossini that it would be a first-round pick. It would be a 2/3, and then possibly a player. So are you willing to give that up, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, for Myles Garrett? I told you what it is for me. You make that move all day long. All day long and twice on Sunday. Absolutely make that move. This from Joe Bucs fan, because Garrett was talking to ESPN's Amina Kimes, excuse me. There is a lot of Bucs fans who go, there's no way that Garrett could be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer because he's not going to play in coverage. He's not going to play in a 3-4. He's just a 4-3 defensive end. You know what I'm talking about. Like, I made that voice up, but that's how I think some of you Buccaneer fans out there think and want Todd Bowles fired. Honestly. I mean, it doesn't matter if this guy had the number 1 defense. Some of you guys just want blood at this point. You really do.
It's exciting!
And I think Todd Bowles would be excited, too, to get Garrett in the trade. Right? Because what was it? 7 straight double-digit sack seasons for Garrett for the Browns? Can you imagine Garrett on that defensive line with Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea and Yaya Diaby? Oh, my. Oh, gracious. That would be unbelievable. Now, again, there's definitely some talk of how much it would cost to get Garrett. And I'm going to go back to TikTok here. G-Mac's been making the rounds on the radio row, showing the Bucs love, and he says we need an edge rusher. Exactly. That is your biggest need. And I get it. People go, well, you need a corner. Okay. Well, you get a corner in free agency. Or maybe you just restructure the contract of Jamel Dean. I know a lot of people don't like that, but and Dean is very inconsistent, right? But we saw how different that defense was without him in the fold for this team, correct? So maybe you restructure that deal. And for me, people say, well, linebacker. Well, there's a guy by the name of Savasier Dennis. If he could stay healthy, it's a big if the last couple of years. But if he could stay healthy, there's your middle linebacker right there. And oh, by the way, as Gerald McCoy mentions on 95.3, 620 WDAE on Radio Row, it may get Levante David to come back. I'm just saying. So, yes, absolutely. Let's go out to Boy Wonder here on TikTok. I hope Coach Strong can help build the D-line up. And a first and second round next year, JTS for Myles. Well, JTS is up, first and foremost. He's a free agent. And what kind of value does he got? Not much. No. So there's the question to your answer. Can hear you. Absolutely. It's good. It's amazing how technology works sometimes. When you clear your head, when you go through your processes, and there's so many freaking processes to go through when you do the sports web, because you got to understand it's not just the camera right there, which is 4K, but you also have go through StreamYard and XSplit and all the settings on the laptop. And then you got to make sure that, the Wi-Fi is matched up. I mean, it's just so many things. So when you're able to go through those processes and then the mixer on top of it with sound effects, when you're able to do that, then this is what you get with the evolution of sports talk television. So appreciate it. As always, Eric, thanks a lot for tuning in.
Oh, yeah.
Mike says Myles Garrett would be huge, but we need to shore up the secondary. I agree. But, the secondary, the linebackers are a lot better off when you have that pass rush up front, right? When you have a Garrett, when you have Kalijah Kancey, when you have Yaya Diaby, when you have Vita Vea, when you have four guys at that point. And then Todd Bowles doesn't necessarily have to blitz. Or you could be even more creative with a Savasier Dennis or a linebacker that you get in the draft or in free agency, right? You don't just have to, depend on your blitz all the time. You don't. So there's so many things when you get an edge rusher, and it may be Garrett. It may be Max Crosby. I don't know. I'm not sure if the Raiders are willing to trade Crosby. What would you give up? What would you give up if you were the general manager, Jason Light of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, or Trey Hendrickson? Over phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Boy Wonder, it's KR. I'm KR, Peter. So you got me on TikTok. Yes, we got you on TikTok right there, KR. We were at the bottom half of the league with sacks, right? That's a huge issue in this defense. Absolutely. And I think KR sent me some coins right there. So appreciate that. We're also on Instagram. We got a couple people watching over there. So appreciate that. And as always, Facebook stars are available. YouTube super chats. You saw Roger Shue give the money right there, a $2 YouTube super chat. So appreciate that, man. I'm definitely in the money for all that stuff.
This guy sucks.
Thanks for the $2 after you lose that bet. I told you that I had it working well there. Let's go out to Roger Shue. Gertrude calling in at 9:45. I'll go ahead and pass on that. Yeah. Christopher Cole there on YouTube says, hey, everyone, what's going on, boss?
Oh, yeah.
And let's go out to Trevor Miller. Go get Myles Garrett. Yes, absolutely. Go get Myles Garrett. Now, the thing is, how much Bucs fans are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up 2 first-round picks? With Diana Rossini, and she talked to an unnamed general manager, so you're not sure. But again, is this a Khalil Mack deal? Our own Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, says it's too much. But again, 7 straight double digits? He's coming off of 14 sacks. He averages nearly 13 sacks a year. When is the last time the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had an edge rusher to get after the quarterback? And do I have to reference the Super Bowl 55, how good that team was with JPP, with Shaq Barrett, with Vita Vea, with Ndamukong Suh, getting after it? Look at that pass rush. Look at what they did to Patrick Mahomes, causing 2 interceptions, getting after him, causing havoc. Yeah, the secondary was good. Yeah, Devin White was good with the linebackers, of course, with White and Levante David. But what was the main deal? The pass rush up front. And then the other question for the night, because we posted this on Facebook, and I talked about it on Saturday and Sunday, and we'll continue to talk about it and push it because I continue to think about it. Because, I do sales for a living. So you get a chance to see Super Bowl Sunday, and then guess what? Football's over with. You got to go back to work the next day on Monday. So if you partiers out there, you know who you are. You big-time drinkers, eating all this bad food. Would you like to see Super Bowl Sunday turn into Super Bowl Saturday? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. RIP Virginia McCaskey, owner of the Chicago Bears, passed away at 102. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Victory. Did you say victory? Where is my victory chant there? Because, see, I kind of redid some of this stuff. So where is my victory? Is that it? But let's just
How about them Bucs, baby?
like that one right there. Here it is.
Victory!
There it is. Victory right there. Absolutely. $1.99. Appreciate you. Let's go out to the Green Queen herself from YouTube. Hi. Hello. How you doing? I know there's some fans out there that are going to be rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. Should I assume, Bucs fans, that you're rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles to win Super Bowl 59 versus the Kansas City Chiefs? Or do you want to see history? Do you want to see Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift at nonstop with all those camera shots there over and over again, scoring touchdowns, winning 3 in a row? Because I tell you why, you got to think about this for a minute. And I threw this out there last week also. Are you rooting for the Eagles because you're tired of seeing the Chiefs win? Or are you rooting for the Chiefs because you want to see history and you want to see the Bucs being the only team in Super Bowl history that has beaten Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce? Taylor Swift wasn't around, but still, the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9 in Super Bowl 55. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Nope, I'm not rooting for either team, says Boy Wonder right there, Mr. KR. I think a lot of people would say that right now. So we'll go ahead, connect the phone line. Stand by. Get this phone line connected. We'll take some phone calls. We'll continue to read these comments and what Gerald McCoy had to say. Let's go out to Mr. Williams right there. We are still the captains of the South, still come through Florida. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go! Absolutely. Let's go! Well, that one. That's one. Let's go! There it is right there. Absolutely, Mr. Williams. Let me go out to JoJo Goodfella. Does it work with the cap space available? That's the real question. We'll definitely get into that because he definitely has 2 years still on his contract, and it could cost the Bucs $40 million. But according to the Tampa Bay Times, and we know how the cap situation works, as I've always talked about on this show, JoJo, I feel like, the NFL salary cap is a lot like the national debt, right? They always talk about it, but there's somehow you always have money. Somehow the Saints the last 5 to 10 years are in cap hell, and yet they're able to sign their own players. They're able to sign free agents. So again, according to this article, if you redo or restructure, if you will, restructure will probably be the proper word, with Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. and Baker Mayfield and Jamel Dean, you could possibly create $66 million. Hear me again? I said $66 million. Now, you may have to pay him $40 million a year. And he's 29 years old, doesn't turn 30 until next December. So again, Bucs fans, is it worth it? In my opinion, it is. Because that championship window is open right now. Wide open. Can the Bucs make this trade? Will the Bucs make this trade? We'll definitely get more into it here on the show. Let me go out to Logan. Myles Garrett, anyone available? Agree. Primetime player. Generational talent. 29 years old. Same type of impact of Simeon Rice. Remember Simeon Rice, Bucs fans? And by the way, I didn't get a chance to ask the question, but where were you in Super Bowl 55? What was your greatest memory of the game? What was your greatest memory of the moment in 2021 and 2020 in that season? Because, going to bed last night, sometimes you need a little bit of motivation. And I watched some of that season, and I remember how it started with losing to the Saints and having no fans there, and then beating Carolina, and then having struggles with the Chargers, and then losing to Chicago, and being 7-5 at the halfway point after getting beat by Kansas City in a close matchup. Because that first half, Kansas City absolutely was dominant. Tyreek Hill in that game had like 200 yards in the first quarter. I mean, Bucs fans are like, there's no defense. There's no chance. They're 7-5. And then after that, they go on their run. They go on their run to the postseason with Washington. I just remember being on this show and just saying, before anything happened, when that team got Tom Brady that year, and then they made the trade for Rob Gronkowski, Super Bowl or bust. And people looked at me crazy. And I said, no, it's Super Bowl or bust. And then they get Leonard Fournette. And then they get Antonio Brown. And then I was talking Bucs fans off the ledge when they were 7-5. And they start to put these victories together, and Tom Brady becomes more and more comfortable. And even though it's a crazy situation at that point, and you're going through the pandemic, and you're going through COVID, and you're not sure if you're going to have sports at the beginning of the year and at the middle during the year, you got football, and then it all works out. And the Bucs become the first team in NFL history, the first to win a Super Bowl in their home stadium. What's your memory of that? 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Hello, Elizabeth. How you doing? Welcome to the Evolution. It's Chiefs fatigue. In my opinion, I'm overseeing the Chiefs again and again. Elizabeth, thanks a lot for the coins right there. Let's go out to Dar here. Happy Thursday, family. Absolutely happy Thursday.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Why not both Garrett and Ward from the Browns? Yeah, because Denzel Ward even said that he wasn't sure if he was going to come back. You would love to have Denzel Ward. I know it's not Madden, but, why not? Would you give up 2 first-round picks? Would you give up 2 second-round picks? I told you what I would do for Garrett, but you get Garrett and Ward that fills both of those needs. I don't know if that can happen or not. I really don't. But it's something to definitely think about, right? We always do that here on the Sports Web. We give you something to think about. All right, good stuff there, Christopher Cole. Appreciate it. Garrett to the Bears. You wish.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to JoJo. Pick 19 this year and 32nd pick next year for sure, because you bring him, and that's a Super Bowl bound defensive front, and that's why you feel comfortable with it. And don't get me wrong, like Jason Light has done a hell of a job when it comes to getting players in the fold, drafting a first-round pick in Graham Barton, drafting a second-round pick in Braswell, who hasn't necessarily shown it yet. And maybe that's the reason why you hired Charlie Strong in the first place, because who was at Alabama at the time? There you go. So maybe you can get something in his second year. But more times than not, when you draft somebody in the first, second, or third round, you don't get that production right away. Is that fair? So I'm not against getting young players. I'm not. But again, when you have that championship window wide open and you have the opportunity to trade, a first round pick, possibly 2/3, something along those lines, or 2 first round picks to get a player that is generational when it comes to, changing the outcome. That changes your defense. Because again, you don't have to necessarily blitz. And then going back to Gerald McCoy's point, he said, that makes you, maybe Levante David thinks about staying around. Wouldn't you if you were Levante David? And there's still question marks if he's going to come back or not. I think, that wouldn't necessarily be a question mark because you know the kind of impact that Garrett would have on this defensive line. Now, again, in care of Joe, a Bucs fan here, Garrett said he is comfortable in a 3-4 defense. He, again, averages 13 sacks per year once out of Cleveland. He, again, joined ESPN's Mina Kimes yesterday at the Super Bowl. And he says, if I had to stand up as a 3-4 outside linebacker, you listening, Bucs fans? Are you listening to this? If I had to stand up as a 3-4 outside linebacker, I'll do it. It's something I haven't been asked to do, but it's something I've done in practice, something I've worked on. I feel like I'm comfortable just about anywhere. Boom. Now the question is, are the Bucs on his trade destination list? Because, people talk about, Carolina and Jacksonville, maybe Detroit would be interested. I mean, but if you're Myles Garrett, again, don't you want to go to Tampa? Don't you want to join your old friend in Baker Mayfield? Which there is some type of relationship there. And we'll get to that in a moment. We'll get back to that in a little bit, actually. Because, I did some digging to see, where Garrett and Baker's, how can they coexist together? Because a lot of people just assume that Baker and Garrett didn't necessarily play so well together, if you will, with the Cleveland Browns. So plenty of things to talk about tonight here. Appreciate you guys tuning in here on TikTok. Of course, Instagram Live, Facebook, YouTube, on the phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So let's see here. It will send me your rice. I don't know what that is. Are you talking about Simeon Rice? Yes, Simeon Rice. Absolutely. Let's go out to Sitton, Rice, and Sapp. Absolutely. Roger Shue says Ginnity wants to play for the Bears. So that's a running back there. Of course, from Boise State, the Bucs suck now. Once again, trolling as always, Cam. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much, Cam. They blew it with their offensive coordinator. The Bucs shouldn't have lied to Liam. He would still be with the Bucs. The Bucs didn't lie to Liam at all. Not at all. And let's go out to Cam again. Bull shouldn't have dodged Liam's phone calls. He didn't. You're just making up nonsense once again.
This guy sucks.
I'm just going to go out to Billy Madison here for you. Cam, you've definitely become a troll. You're right up there in the Troll Hall of Fame with Roger Shue there.
Acknowledge me.
Another troll.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. A bum. Yeah, exactly.
How about new?
Yes, I love these sound effects. There you go. There it is. Yeah. Love it. All right, let's go out to Jim there first. 2/3 and a player from Myles Garrett, and yet they're talking just a 5th-round pick for Cooper Kupp. Garrett is a better player, but is he that much better? Well, I mean, Cooper Kupp is up there in age, Jim, and we're definitely going to have Jim on the show here. We're supposed to have him on last night, didn't get a chance. He wrote some stuff here. We definitely got to get him on. He definitely has some great stories to tell here. Used to work, I believe, for the Tampa Bay Times. So we'll get him on the evolution of sports talk television. Lifelong Bucs fan. But Jim, appreciate the time and coming on here and chiming in as always. I definitely think Myles Garrett is younger and there's more impact, right? Wide receivers, definitely you can get some wide receivers out there. Kupp still has some value, but the point is that ever since Kupp got that contract extension, he hasn't been the same player. And then again, he's up there in age. So the injury situation, the last couple of years hasn't necessarily been the best. I think he could still be a productive player. That was the other thing that came out. Kupp and the Rams are working together to find him a home. So a lot of Bucs fans will say, Cooper Kupp. They're going to have to re-sign Chris Godwin. And if they make that decision to move on, I still think those resources would be better spent to go out and get an edge rusher, possibly a linebacker or a corner, especially an edge rusher again. So good stuff there, Jim. Appreciate the comment as always.
Yes!
All right. Remember the end of that game and hearing you crying tears of joy. I don't know if I was crying tears of joy, but I was up that night, live from the Deck Bar and Grill in St. Pete there. I think it was up until like 2:30 in the morning. It was amazing, completely amazing. It was an amazing season. Where were you at, Bucs fans, when the Bucs won Super Bowl 55? Let's go back out to TikTok here. Thank you very much for joining. Lots of people tuning in right now. Very cool. Question for you, Peter. Do you think Eli makes the Hall of Fame tonight? Great question. I don't know. Does he belong? Does Eli Manning belong in the Hall of Fame with the 2 Super Bowls, with beating the New England Patriots and Tom Brady with the numbers? I definitely think you can make the case there that he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he makes it, but you would think he does, with him being on ESPN, with him being out there, with being in people's minds at this point. I think it's certainly possible. And a lot of people say, well, doesn't necessarily have the greatest numbers, but he has the 2 Super Bowls. He has pretty good numbers, not the best, and he is a Manning. And he is with ESPN right now. So, yeah, I definitely think it's certainly possible. I heard that Myles Garrett wants a new contract wherever he goes. He wants at least $28 to $30 million a year. Could we afford plus 2 first-round picks? I don't know. I say go for it. Why not go for it at this point? What do you have to lose? Like, again, people make a whole big deal about the salary cap and about this and about that. And by the way, Mike Greenberg is coming back, the assistant general manager, because he also turned down the Jacksonville Jaguars, which really has not been a great offseason when it comes to the Jaguars. They got Liam Cohen, but everybody else they haven't been able to get. Although they did get John Van Dam, not to be confused with Jean-Claude Van Dam, was a former tight ends coach there for the Bucs. Now he is going with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But again, to put your point out there, yeah, it is going to cost you some money, as it should. Usually primetime players, generational talents, they're going to cost you some money, but it's going to be worth it. Because, again, he's averaging 13 sacks a year. Put him on that defensive line. Again, you have to give up 2 first-round picks. But if you feel like, and you're Jason Light, and you're this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team, if you feel like you're only a couple players away from getting to the Super Bowl, then what are we talking about? Because this is not just about winning an NFC South. It's not just getting to the first round or second round. It's about winning a Super Bowl. So that championship window at this point could be wide open. So I think you make that move. You do. And that's the reason why you build up the team in the first place with first, second, third round picks. In a Jalen McMillan, in a Bucky Irving, a Yaya Diaby. The pieces are there. They're absolutely there at this point. And we're getting updates right now from the NFL honors. So let's go ahead and go out to that really quick, because I don't want to give up any sound. Let's see here. Jaden Daniels wins the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Was that to anybody's surprise with, the kind of impact he had for the Washington Commanders this year? And also, I believe, and it just looks right now, Offensive Player of the Year would be Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, who led the NFL in touches, scrimmage yards, and rushing yards there. So any surprise at this point? I mean, that's probably the biggest key for the Eagles. And I think, the Chiefs are going to, definitely be trying to stop Saquon Barkley in Super Bowl 59 on Sunday and put the ball in, Jalen Hurts' hands. And can he get the ball? Can he distribute the ball, if you will, to an A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith? We'll see. Those are the kind of matchups you're going to be looking at on Sunday. What are you going to be looking at? Open phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Thank you, Roger Shue. Appreciate you as always. He's going to Chicago under Ben Johnson, upstate New York. We have a word with Winfield Jr. is being traded to the Bills. Once again, nonsense.
This guy sucks.
This upstate New York news, by the way, is erroneous. It is Cam Decker. In fact, he runs the New York News, and you have about probably 2 or 3 followers at this point. There you go. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Godwin is better than Kupp. Absolutely. You would have to think, definitely. There's no doubt about that. Kupp has, gotten the contract extension in those years and has not been able to stay healthy. And you look at what Godwin was doing before he had the injury. And again, that may be a blessing in disguise for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team to where they're going to be able to sign him at a lower value. We'll see, because we know how free agency works. We know that there could be a bad team out there. Say, I don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. With Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen trying to get him back in the offense, and they were overpay. It takes one team to overpay. It comes down to, does Chris Godwin want that major deal? Does he want to be a number one wide receiver, or does he want to come back to this offense with Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield and Bucky Irving and this offensive line building up? And, if you got the opportunity to get an edge rusher like a Myles Garrett, don't you think Chris Godwin would want to sign with this team, knowing that they're in better shape at this point, getting one of their major needs? Yeah, I think so. I don't know why I'm reading your comments, but I am reading your comments. Peter, we need to talk about hiring. Bills updates each week, a 30-second clip every week. Cup to the Bears. Yes to the Eli and the Hall. Upstate New York. Section 8 living for the Rays and 2025. That was the other story. Stu, once again, no stadium deal. Ken Welch came out last night and said in so many words, we may walk away from this Rays deal. Just paraphrasing at this point. Rob Manfred today talked about the Rays and said, we want to keep them in Tampa Bay, in the Tampa Bay area. And Stu has still not made a decision on if the Rays are going to have that new stadium deal. Is he going to walk away? Hopefully, Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, makes this guy, who most likely is, in my opinion, the worst owner in professional sports, sell the team. What a disgrace. Yes. Christopher Cole says Van Damme's role was diminished. Jim says, I'm not sure how I feel about giving up the house for Garrett. The 2025 NFL draft is loaded at edge rusher. My question is that if you do not do that and you depend on a young guy, can that young guy translate over? There's a guy by the name of Mike Green who's out there. A lot of draft analysts believe that that could be the Bucs pick at 19. Is he there? He showed out the Senior Bowl. It's a tough transition. It's a tough ask to get a young player to come in right away and give you that production. That's what the Bucs need. They need that consistent pass rush. They haven't gotten it from JTS. Yaya, when he's healthy, he's shown flashes of brilliance. Kalijah Kancey, when he's healthy, he's shown flashes of brilliance. Both young players. But could you imagine getting a player like Garrett or Hendrickson or Crosby? Not only do you get, that consistent production you would assume, because that's what you've gotten from Garrett, the last 7 years with double-digit sacks for the Browns. But you get that veteran presence that can teach those young pass rushers that invaluable experience. It's so valuable at this point. It really is. All right, let's go back to TikTok here. Let's see. I would, Kobe for the win. Thank you very much. Yanni, thanks a lot for joining. Lots of people on TikTok tuning in tonight. I would say get Trey, sign one of the free agent cornerbacks, draft edge, linebacker, and corner. Could definitely do that. And KR says, I hope Stu sells the team as soon as possible because this franchise will flourish under new ownership. Go Rays. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say it over and over again. If the Rays and Stu Sternberg sell this team, I will have a party. I'm not a big drinker, but I will have a drink. I will try to figure out how many webheads I can ask to go to a bar and buy them a shot, because that's how happy I would be. I would party like it's 1999 if Stu Sternberg sold the Rays, because finally the Tampa Bay sports fan would have an owner that actually cared. Now, again, to be fair, yes, the Rays have won consistently, but could you imagine once again putting a little bit of extra money in there, getting a couple extra players at the end of the day? You may have a couple World Series championships. They'd be able to spend the money. You would finally get a new stadium, whether it's in Tampa or St. Pete. You got to put it somewhere. You got to figure this out. It's been 15 to 20 years. When is enough for the Tampa Bay Rays? So, Jim, good comment there. Good comment on TikTok. Let's go out to Instagram Live. No comments there right now. I got 1.6 followers in 2 weeks. By the way, nearly 300,000 views. 300, we got like 296 right now. So we're close to 300,000 views on Facebook. Tremendous web hack. Absolutely tremendous. Let's see here. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. My surprise is that how did Bucky finish 6th in Offensive Rookie of the Year? Well, that's what happens. Running back is not valued that much. 6th. Wow. 6th in Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's amazing in itself. Should be higher than that. I mean, what kind of impact did he make on this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team this year? Seriously, amazing stuff. Let's go out to Jim here. I'm not saying the Cup is that great. I'm just surprised that you can get him for basically nothing, at least in terms of draft picks. Yeah. Any guest tonight? No guest. No guest tonight. We're supposed to have Harry, possibly Ray. I guess they just forgot about yours truly here. So I guess we're just going to sit here and talk about what's been happening with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and see what Gerald McCoy said and just go through your memories of Super Bowl 55. Where were you? What's your greatest memory besides winning the game? Everybody's like, what's your greatest memory? Well, it's winning the game. Okay. What else? What did you remember from that? Because tomorrow day, I'll be getting up, going and doing the sales job there at Policy Scout, getting on the phone, talking to Esther and Winifred and Gertrude, wearing my Tampa Bay Buccaneers shirt that says, Bucs, the first team in NFL history with the Florida sign, the Florida logo, the first team in NFL history to win in their home stadium. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. So appreciate you. I'm in for shots. Absolutely upstate New York. You know how I feel about Stu. I say send him to Gaza once they build it. Great again to own a sports team there. Raiders and Jaguars are throwing a boatload of money at Godwin, so the Bucs need to get him signed before free agency starts. And there's certainly an opportunity for them to do that. They could absolutely get that done eventually, and it would definitely absolutely help their cap out. It would. Let's go out to KR here on TikTok. Was home with the fam watching the Bucs win Super Bowl 55, having our home Super Bowl dub. I think that's where a lot of people were. Like I kind of mentioned, I was out at the deck. There was lots of people out there. Florida wasn't so strict when it came to going out and having a good time. Thank God for that. Everybody else, in masked and doing this and doing that. And the perception was, you could get really sick. And there was many lives lost during that time. And it was a scary time. And it was a scary time in sports. And that's why we came on here during 2020 at that point in 2021 to take your mind off of it. So I think a lot of people were home. But could you imagine any other regular year, any regular year with that news breaking with Tom Brady going to the Bucs at that point and the Bucs winning Super Bowl 55? Could you imagine that? I mean, honestly, it would have been totally different. A lot of people say, well, the Bucs, they may have not won. That defense was on the money, and they knocked out all those teams with those quarterbacks. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. We got an update here with the Tampa Bay Lightning, which we'll be talking about here in the next couple of weeks, as of course, Bucs season never ends on this show. But the Lightning beat the Senators 5-1 over Ottawa. That's always a good thing. Let's go out to the phone lines, leading it off right now, talking about what else. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what are they going to do in free agency? Should they be interested in Myles Garrett? Where were you during Super Bowl 55? What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Evolution.
Yo, what's up? It's Cameron. How's it going?
What's going on, buddy? You've become a major troll on this show. You know that? And again, Cam is one of my friends from way back. He's a big-time Rays fan. I don't think he's a Bucs fan, but I think he likes to troll this. He is a Bucs fan.
No,
you're not a Baker Mayfield fan, though, Cam, are you?
No, I love Baker Mayfield. I'm even wearing my Bucs beanie up here at my job in upstate New York.
Wow.
Bills fans come in here and give me the stink eye.
They give you the stink eye. Okay. All right.
They're like, why is this guy in here? But no, so I just wanted to chime in real quick since baseball season is, upon us.
Yes.
Coming pretty quickly.
Yes, it is.
I only have one question. I'm not sure. Are you an MLB The Show fan? Do you play that?
I do play a little bit of that. I played that with you before. You've tried to cheat me when I play. You tried to cheat me when I played you. By the way, I did not forget.
Okay. Well, regardless,
yes.
Do you think that I know they don't do minor league fields in the show, but do you think they'll make an exception for the Rays for Steinbrenner Field? Do you think that they'll put that in the show? I couldn't find anything about it online.
I think they will absolutely put it in the show, even though it has 12,000 seats. They should. It'd be fun to put that in there. And it's gonna listen. I'm excited about the Rays. I know we talk about Bucs. We also talk Rays and Lightning. I'm excited about the Rays. Don't get me wrong. I despise the ownership. I'm not going to hold that against the Tampa Bay Rays. They have some question marks. We'll see what they can do offensively. It's always about pitching and defense. Can they get enough runs? They got Eloy from Baltimore and Chicago there. They picked him off the scrap heap there. You got Caminero. They've got some pieces. We'll see. They're young.
My biggest complaint, I think, with this last trade push at the end of last season was why get rid of a Rosarino so early? They could have used him for a couple more years at least, right?
Right.
He literally just started becoming a legend. Look what he did at Home Run Derby this last year. I mean, people were like, "Oh, this guy's from the Rays."
Randy Rosarena, you're talking about.
Gone.
Well, I mean, that's been the problem with the Rays over time, and that's why it's very tough to have a fan base when you're a Rays fan because you get rid of fan favorites. And what people will say, well, the analytics suggest this and the analytics suggest that. And you know what the analytics suggest to me? The Rays are cheap and they don't want to pay their guys. That's what it comes down to. Nobody cares about getting prospects. It's always a perpetual rebuild when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays. And it's tough to be a Rays fan and get excited about guys that you don't know that are coming in and out of here. You look at the Yankees, you look at the Red Sox, you look at the Dodgers. They have fan favorites. They have guys around the league that fans can, get excited about, and you can't do that as a Rays fan. So yes, it's one of the mentions. A lot of Rays fans are going to miss out on Randy Rosarena. You're not going to have, Randy Land. That's a part of being a Rays fan.
I haven't even checked. Do we still even have starting pitchers? Did they get rid of Springs and who was the other? McClanahan. Is he gone?
McClanahan's coming back from injury. We'll see how effective he is. Who did they trade? I believe they traded Springs in the offseason.
Glasnow's gone.
Well, Glasnow was
gone a year ago.
Glasnow's been gone. Their pitching staff is young. I mean, that's the thing you gotta. McClanahan's coming back from injury.
The one thing you got to give them, though, Pete, is the one thing you got to give them is everybody gets mad every single time they trade a pitcher away, especially a really good pitcher. The one thing you got to give them is the farm for pitching for the Rays. Anyways, it does always seem like the next guy, that they bring up does actually produce. Sometimes even better than the guy they just got rid of.
Right.
I will give them that at least, but it still sucks. I wish these guys could have a career in Tampa before they just go and piss them away to somewhere else,
Yeah, but it's disappointing. I mean, you got Evan Longoria for a long term, and then he's gone. You've gotten rid of fan favorites over time, and I think it's hurt the fan base, and we continue to talk about it, and it's always about the young players, and, can they compete this year? I think there's exciting times coming. It's exciting to have the Rays in Tampa. A lot of people wanted to see this team and what they could do with the fan base, that the fan base is going to come out. And the Rays decided, we're going to raise the ticket prices at this point. We're going to take advantage of it. I don't know what that is. What is that right there? I got
one quick funny thing I got to tell you, and then I'll buzz off. But
well, you never can buzz off. You can always call back twice, by the way, if you want to.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
It's very rare when I'm at work that I'm free like I am right now. But yeah, so sometimes when I wear my Rays hat around, people up in New York, they look at me funny because it's like they'd never seen a Rays fan up here before.
Never.
But I've had a Yankee fan recently thank me for our farm system for their team.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah. You say, hey, thank you, man. We've gotten a lot of good players from your team over the years. Thanks for the farm system down there in Tampa. We don't even have to pay for it.
Well, and still the Rays are pretty competitive when it comes to teams like the Yankees and Baltimore, but you're exactly right. They got to get better.
Oh, we own New York every year now,
yeah.
I think. I have to look at the statistics, but I'm pretty sure we have to outplay New York at least. I know the Orioles give us trouble, but
yeah, the Orioles are giving a lot of people trouble. I'm surprised that they, again, it comes back though, when you get to the postseason, if you have pitching and defense and you don't have any hitting, but you outpitch that team, you can usually win. And that's what Baltimore ran into. They got outpitched and they got eliminated in the first round. So I think, Baltimore is going to be tough in that AL East. You always talk about New York. You always talk about Boston. You always talk about Toronto. I mean, it's a gauntlet, and that's the reason why it's so disheartening that when you have those opportunities to not only win the AL East and get to the playoffs and win a wild card and get a wild card banner, that you wouldn't do more to, add players to the trading deadline to improve your team and give your team the best shot to win a World Series. And that's exactly what the Rays don't do. And that's why a lot of fans are it's tough to be a Rays fan. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely be talking about the Rays this year.
Yeah, the Rays are famous for choking in the postseason.
Well, they necessarily
guaranteed
have not done well when it comes to postseason baseball lately, especially with getting offense and getting runs. That's for sure. Absolutely correct about that.
If it makes you feel any better, Pete, I did take the Rays to the World Series and MLB The Show, and we did win.
That's good. Well, that's always good. How many times? What was the level of difficulty on that, by the way? And how many times did you have to do it? Because I know you cheat.
It was just no. This was one franchise. I played the whole entire thing. I was on the second to hardest difficulty. So there's the last one. I forget what order they're in, but I always play MLB The Show the second to the hardest because I don't think I'm advanced enough for the hardest, and it's not any fun at that point.
No,
still challenging with the one that I'm on. But hey, real quick, do you remember that time that I traded Tom Brady to the Bucs?
No,
you're cheating.
I don't.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that. You were playing Madden, I assume, right?
Yes. I traded Tom Brady to the Bucs. This is well before he came to Tampa. And I remember you specifically saying, you're cheating. Because remember, I was a huge Tom Brady fan and I liked the Bucs.
Right.
So I traded him to the Bucs. And then a few years later, and it ended up happening. So that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. Where were you at when the Bucs won Super Bowl 55?
I remember being at a kava bar in St. Pete.
Okay.
And watching it from there. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, Cam. Appreciate the call. Don't be a stranger. Use that second call if you want to. Keep on trolling, all right?
I'm just a troll in the streets, man. That's it.
That's it. Troll in the streets. All right, whatever. All right, get out of here. Open phone line, 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let's go out to David Moser here, giving us an update. The Bulls just won in double overtime against Temple. On the night they honored their coach, Raheem. Absolutely great stuff there. As we are okay. So I guess we will not have Harry tonight. I don't know if we're going to have Ray or not. So we'll have me and you talking. But, of course, the tragic loss of Coach Raheem, of course, for the USF Bulls. And they're honoring him tonight. Our own Leo Haggerty is out there covering that. So maybe we'll talk to him about that a little bit later. Christopher Cole says Falcons could have had Verse, and he just won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Okay. So there you go. So no Harry the Greek tonight. You're exactly right. That was one of the guys that I loved in the first place to get Jared Verse, but of course he got picked by the Rams, and that was the right selection because the Rams knocked it out of the park there, him and Fisk. All right, so questions for the night here. Do you want to see this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team draft or not draft? First, do you want to see them draft an edge rusher at 19, stay there, draft a corner, draft a linebacker? Who do you want to see them at number 19 at this point? Or do you want to see this team go and try to trade for Myles Garrett? What are you willing to give up? 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Where were you on Super Bowl 55? As of course, tomorrow It would be the 4-year anniversary. Has it been 4 years already? Has it been 4 years? Already, it's been 4 years since the Bucs won Super Bowl 55. Where were you? What was your best memory about that year, about that night? What was going on at that point? We could talk about that. And who do you like in Super Bowl 59 on Sunday? Do you like the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you like the Kansas City Chiefs? Have you been watching some of the interviews on Radio Row there on NFL Network? I haven't really got into it because I experienced Radio Row before. Haven't had an opportunity, but I think I'm probably going to try to catch up this weekend. But those are fun times when you're down at Radio Row and you have the opportunity to do a show down there and you're meeting celebrities. And I always tell the story of, 2010 down in Miami, covering the Colts and the Saints. And of course, me hating the Saints, wanting Peyton Manning to win the Super Bowl. And of course, the Saints end up winning it, highlighted by an onside kick, which you could do now. But, that was the major play there right after halftime, which you couldn't do these days because you have to let the other team know that you're going to kick an onside kick, which is just so freaking stupid. So stupid. But, just remembering that, being on Radio Row and getting that opportunity and watching stars walk around, watching Chris Rock, watching Adam Sandler, watching David Spade, and they were down there to promote the movie Grown Ups. And then getting an opportunity to meet Roy Jones Jr. And at the time, JP was doing a show, JP Peterson. Of course, his show, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. He was doing a show for 10 a.m. down there. And he had to get Roy Jones Jr. And what you had to do is basically be a car salesman. And you had to get him over to the table as soon as possible. And you had to ask him some questions. It's like what I do right now at my job, selling life and medical insurance. And you got to wait for the agent to get on the line. You got to say, hey, how's the weather? A little fluff right there. You have to do the same thing with Jones Jr., a little fluff. Hey, how come you didn't take the Rocky Balboa movie? I heard that Sylvester Stallone called you. Not what I wanted to do. And you ask him another question. And then by the time he gets to that table, he's ready to put those headphones on and be on the JP show. I mean, that's how it works. It was like being a car salesman down there, trying to get superstars at the table. Good times. It really was. All right. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to Melissa. She says, go Birds. So, yes, I guess we'll say go Birds because I think a lot of Bucs fans want to see the Philadelphia, even though, there is a history, if you will, between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So give her a little Macho Man right there. Go Birds to you, of course. Let's go out to KR as he's on TikTok right there. Peter, what are your thoughts about the NFL possibly getting an 18th game? I don't understand it. Actually, I'll take that back. I do understand it, KR. I understand why they're doing it in the first place. It's all about the money. It's always about the money. With the National Football League. It really is. So when the league kind of tries to sell you on the fact that they care about safety and they care about, we all know that's nonsense. It's complete and total nonsense. You know what? I want to tell you why that's nonsense. Because if the NFL truly cared about the safety of the league and their players, you wouldn't play Thursday Night Football. And the reason why you play that, because you get Amazon Prime to give you all that money to broadcast those games. You got teams, that don't get that full rest after that. So if they cared about the safety, you wouldn't have Thursday night games because we've seen some really poor football when it comes to those night games, right? But then you throw it out there, the 18th game, you're going to cut down preseason, which, listen, everybody wants to cut down on preseason because preseason is awful football. You maybe see, 1 or 2 series for the starters. You see what you see. It's an evaluation. Most of that evaluation takes place with the coaches and training camp. That's where it takes place. So preseason, really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So you cut down the preseason, thank God, because the fans don't have to pay full price for those tickets. What a disgrace that is, by the way, NFL. You got to change that.
That's great enough to suck right there.
You really do. You've got to change that. So you change that, you add 18 games. And the reason why you do that is because there's going to be more money for the league, because the league is a multi-billion, B with billion revenue. I mean, that's the reason why. So what do I think about it? And then you hear the NFL Players Association is not too happy about that. But, basically Roger Goodell in the NFL usually always has the NFL Players Association, over the barrel there, if you will. So somehow, some way, they're going to convince the players and the Players Association that there's more money, and eventually it's going to happen. And that's why I say if you extend the season, then it makes the season longer. So maybe you can throw out Super Bowl Sunday and have Super Bowl Saturday. And I like this Super Bowl Saturday deal. I'll tell you why. Because, again, you can recuperate if you party, even if you don't party. You can get over. You can decompress. Because I don't like going back to work on that Monday. In fact, it's probably so sad. Like, you should play a violin because I got to go back to work. And not only, talk to those people on the phone, but realize that there's not going to be any football for the next 6 to 8 months. Yeah. All right. Let's go out to more comments here on Facebook. Appreciate you as always. I was in my living room standing in front of my TV, dancing around like a fool. My favorite memory of that year was how the team got better and better at the end of the regular season, and throughout the playoffs, it just got more and more fun. Absolutely. And again, there were their moments there. There was moments like they were down in games against the Atlanta Falcons, and they turned it around. They come out throwing against the Minnesota Vikings with Scotty, which I'm trying to think, Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller against the Vikings. Scotty Miller versus the Green Bay Packers. Scotty does know. Scotty did know, especially in that NFC Championship game. I just remember covering it there. I remember being there with you guys on a night-to-night basis, and I remember doing like 5 shows a week. Like every night we were on. We were excited, and I say we because of the webheads, because of guys like right here, this man right here, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, Harry the Greek, Blake Anthony, the big board himself, Andrew Fullbear. Yeah. I mean, there's so many nights we talked about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. So many great memories. I remember the night before being with this guy that I'm about to bring on. And the night before we went out to Top Golf and we're interviewing former NFL athletes. We're interviewing Andre Reed. We're interviewing Bernie Kosar. We're interviewing Doug Flutie and his Batmobile. Asking an offensive lineman who now works in Jacksonville. And he said it best. If the Kansas City Chiefs are missing both of their offensive linemen, that Bucs defense is going to get it. They're going to get after Patrick Mahomes. And also, this guy at the time was interviewing Big Papi David Ortiz. Let me go out to this guy. We got his intro. Here we go.
Mr.
And I don't think you can see it on TikTok, but we do have Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy with us. What's going on, boss? How you doing? Welcome to the Evolution. As we were talking about Super Bowl 55, because of course at the time, and it's crazy to think about. It's been 4 years. It's going to be 4 years since I don't know what's going on with my background, but 4 years now that the Bucs won a Super Bowl 55 versus the Chiefs 31-9. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Brother, crazy times. And I'll tell you what, if you let me just go and right off the top, I gotta throw some shout outs to WDE and Tom Krasicki and Chris Mathis and the coverage they've been doing from Radio Row out there, and we're over there in Louisiana. I say out there, it's just across the Gulf of America, but they're doing such a great job. And even tonight, it was funny. I'm listening to the coverage all week, and Gerald McCoy was on Monday, and I had great interviews, and I'm like, it doesn't. And all of a sudden tonight, I'm driving to UPS, and they hit me with they're taking calls from those of us back here in Tampa Bay, fans. So I mean, just a fantastic job the way they took the coverage of. It was funny because you mentioned 55 and 2020, and Radio Row was like literally down the corner here, but it was COVID. It was everything was still being like go to meetings and stuff. But just a quick shout out to again Tom Kraz and Chris Mathis and the WDA team, because they brought that Super Bowl Radio Row back home to us, and just a great job with it this week.
Yeah, great job of it. And again, I threw it out there the night before we were out at Top Golf. But besides that memory, because I know that you want to talk about this, but what's the memory that you had for that season besides us covering it? Because we were out there at the deck covering the games. I think we were all like 5 nights a week at that point during the pandemic and during how everything was going on. Well, what's the best memory for you? I remember the Chicago game, meeting Harry the Greek that day or that night, and Chicago beating the Bucs on the 4 call to Tom Brady. And again, being 7-5, and a lot of people just being concerned at that point and still believing, that this team was Super Bowl bust because they got Gronk, they got Leonard Fournette, they got Antonio Brown. So what's your memory?
My memory most is that they got 257 games in the entire season. I think that was the first time in history, and probably hopefully the last time in history of the NFL, that they played a game on every day of the week. Maybe there was like a one day, I think maybe Tuesday, but because of COVID and the way that games are being delayed and positive tests and stuff. So I remembered that as much as the train seemed to be coming off the tracks for the entire National Football League, Tom Brady and that group that started at Berkeley Prep way before the season, and what they got started early on, just kept it on the rails. And it took till after the 8th and 10th week when Tom really hit his stride. But then that's when he hit the defense. And after the Chiefs had already embarrassed the Bucs earlier that season, Tyreek's on the phone trying to get help from the president.
Yeah,
Todd Bowles and that defense found a way to shut them down in 55, and then the NFL. So yeah, it was. But as much as it seemed like that, you asked my memory is as much as it seemed like everything was going off the rails, the Bucs seemed like they had a single real purpose, and of course that was to win 55.
Yeah, win 55, and of course I just remember there's a night before we're not only doing the Top Golf thing with interviewing athletes, and I'm trying to think of what the offensive lineman's name was. What was his name? Le'Veon, was it Le'Veon? It wasn't Le'Veon Bell. It was I'm trying to think, but he said it best. The Chiefs are missing the 2 offensive linemen, so at that point, the Bucs had an opportunity to get after Patrick Mahomes, and they did that night with Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, and of course JPP. But I also remember us going to the stadium the night before. I mean, we stayed up late. Do you remember going to
Yes.
Raymond James Stadium and looking at the sites and talking to people and seeing people actually hanging out the night before the game, because all the Super Bowl festivities were downtown, although it was COVID, it was limited, but still there were people there. Do you remember the atmosphere of that, talking to some of the fans out there?
Yeah, because we were lined up to be credentialed for the Bucs the entire season 2020. We finally, that's what we were building for. We were building toward just getting a credential, just getting a skin in a game, just getting our foot in the door. And COVID, they let us know, well, we're not going to really nobody's getting credentialed. Everything's going to be go to meeting, and we're going to limit that. So, after we did the Top Golf interviews with just great players, and we were adhering to the standards. We weren't 6 feet apart, but we were holding. I would turn away and hold the camera while you asked it. And of course, as you mentioned, I got to ask Big Poppy some questions, which was the highlight of my night. And then you and I, of course, that's how we are about this. That's just you and I. It's what we are. We're a little bit romantic about this. We took a ride over to the stadium, even though the festivities wound down for the day, but this was a stadium that in 48 hours, the Buccaneers would be playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 55. And even though, again, because of COVID, we missed out on getting credentialed, we were like, you know what? Doesn't stop a couple of fans from going and having a great time. And we went and had a good time there, didn't we, Pete?
We did. We definitely had a good time. We're on with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. By the way, you like your sound effect again?
Mr. Kennedy!
I love that. I absolutely love it. And I love this too. That's exactly what you are, especially with that night, that day there. a lot of things questioning. Now, we kind of talked about this on Saturday and Sunday, and thanks a lot for Fergs having us out there on Sunday, even though necessarily the laptop didn't work at the time. This is user error because I was able to sit down last night and get some of these settings to finally work. Thank God for having some patience on my part and you guys being patient with me. But we talked about, 18-game season. That has definitely been talked about by Roger Goodell. I mean, how do you see this happening? Because I don't know how the NFL will say, in one sentence, we care about the players and their safety and play games on Thursday night and then extend the season and then, go to this 18-game season. And what you hear from the Players Association, they're not too happy about this. So Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, how do you see this playing out? You think the NFL eventually will extend the season to 18 games?
Yeah, and it's like you're reading my mind on this because I'm thinking the same thing where we're trying to go, hey, you know what, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, we understand this and that. We understand what the turnaround is when you play a game on Sunday, you're playing a game again on Thursday. And, of course, you get to 8 days on the backside. But then again, don't forget, we're adding another game to the season now, so it's 18 games. And you're wondering how the NFL's, because the players will keep playing as the contracts get higher. The teams will keep paying as the ratings get higher, but at the same time, you're wondering at what point. So I was thinking this, Pete, as all this is going down, they're talking about this today, I really think you could go to a, because everything's about numbers. Everything's about, specific numbers we do with all of Hard Rock bets and all of our thing. I think the NFL could go to where you tell a team so many players are allowed to play X amount of percentage of plays per year. And it's not just if you're a team that runs a bunch of offensive plays quickly, you're up-tempo offense, you get more. No. Players overall percentage of time. And what you'd have teams not only saving their stars, giving them days off, giving them games off, being able to be a little more liberal with saying, okay, we're going to sit Jamar Chase, even though we think Joe wants to get off. Maybe he can get off with T. Higgins as if he'll still be there. But I mean, I think you take the numbers, because if you're going to put an 8th game and continue to have these turnaround games, now you're talking about a game being played in Australia. At some point, you got to remember, it's all about the brain. You got to take care of the brain. And the brain says we've got to figure out a way to do this and everyone get time off to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have an update on who made the Hall of Fame? Because I got KR contacting me in TikTok there, and thanks a lot for standing by with us there. KR and everybody else there on TikTok. We're live on TikTok tonight. Instagram, of course, the Facebook now nearly at 300,000 views, my friend. And, of course, YouTube and Twitter. We appreciate Twitter or X, whatever the hell they call it these days. I don't know. But do we have an update on the Hall of Fame class?
I do not. I can get one for you when we're going.
Get one for you. Get one for me because I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to see if there's any update as we speak. Are you there?
But I can tell you, these honors were rich to watch. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, the Wi-Fi, I don't know what's going on with your Wi-Fi tonight. It's rough.
People, I'm at the very end of it. I'm getting Wi-Fi from if I know the actual spectrum here. But the NFL on hard to watch. I was watching the show and I had it on the background, as you can see there. And one things we love about the NFL, these young cats, they're stepping out, these kids, these millionaires, almost in some cases billionaires, but they're stepping out, they're reading cue cards, having a good time. It's been pretty okay to watch. There was one terrible joke where Snoop Dogg talked about he remembers the NFL, and they went to a two-shot with his 27-year-old girlfriend, and Snoop goes, I remember the NFL before she was even born, and I'll give credit to this young girl. She owned it. She smiled. If you all the video, she smiled and she owned it. I love it because it wasn't a moment she backed down from, but I was like, oh God, Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg's hosting, and they brought Flavor Flav out in the pregame. So I'm like, okay, so we're going for 19 at this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Snoop Dogg has been everywhere. Now we got an updated list, and this is from KR here on TikTok. We got Jared Allen. I remember him as a defensive end there, of course, for the Minnesota Vikings. Did the Cowboy thing. You got Eric Allen. Eric Allen, that name from the Philadelphia Eagles. I remember him.
So nice.
And
yeah, very nice.
As a tight end there. And Sterling Sharp, who was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer killer. And, of course, goes out early in his career. Of course, the brother of Shannon. Sterling was a great wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers.
Sterling was the better receiver for sure, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, Shannon was a dog, but Sterling was that just across the middle. You could not stop him. Brett Favre loved on him for a long time.
Yeah, Don Magic Mikowski there. I would just remember Sterling Sharp, no matter if the Packers were bad or good at the time, would always kill the Bucs in a multitude, Leo word, of ways. And now he gets into the Hall of Fame. How surprised are you by this list at this point?
I am surprised because, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw again. I hate to do this. I sound like a mark for Tom Krasnicki, but in his outshot tonight, there about the 650 shot that they call it the final drive, he said that he didn't want to say he wasn't him predicting, but he said he'd heard that Eli Manning would not be among the finalists for his first year going into the Hall of Fame. Something about the fact that his wins and losses are exact. 3 Super Bowls. He was a Tom Brady killer in the postseason, but he didn't have those numbers to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So you just read the list, and he's not on that. So again, shout out Tom Krasnicki. And I'll tell you all what, give T. Kras and the guys a chance tomorrow, because that's the last day from Radio Row. They've owned it all week. They had a Gerald McCoy interview on Monday. They've been locking it down. Gerald McCoy had just great listening to that cat. But he said that Eli Manning wasn't going to be in that finals for the for the Hall of Fame in 2025, and I guess that's what it sounds like.
Is that right, in your opinion? Should Eli make the Hall of Fame? How come do you think it takes a little while here because the numbers are not so gaudy compared to the other quarterbacks' numbers? But a lot of people will say, well, the numbers aren't there, but the 2 Super Bowls and him beating not just him, his team, of course, the defense and the pieces around him, beating the New England Patriots, including that perfect team at the time. I tell you what, let's go ahead, stand by here. Let's go out to the phone lines here. What's your name? I believe this is Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, welcome to the Evolution on a special edition of the Sports Web on Thursday. What's going on? You're on with yours truly, along with Best of the Bays, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Go ahead, my friend.
Hey, Mr. Ray, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
But,
Mr. Williams.
All right, man. Oh, man, I know that ain't Harry.
No, Harry's not here tonight. Harry is not.
Okay.
Much wider.
It's hard to see the picture there because the internet is on dial-up service tonight. Thanks a lot to Spectrum.
It would be good if we can get Myles Garrett. It would be good.
Okay, well, tell me, it's going to be good. Are you willing to trade premium picks and pay the salary, which, let's take a Snoop Dogg term, pay the cost to be the boss, $40 million. Are you willing to do that with Myles Garrett at this point?
Well, he deserves $40 million, man, because the young man have a heck of a engine, man. He got a heck of an engine coming off the edge.
I would say so. What, seven straight 7 years of double-digit sacks, and now finishing with 14 sacks this year? I would say so. Yeah.
Him, Canty, and Vita Vale we'll make another run, and then we leave a light on for Levante Davis.
Thank you.
Oh, man, are we ready?
Well, that sounds like what Gerald McCoy said there.
Well, doesn't get – right. I'm sorry, Pete. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead.
Well, no. I'm just saying that's what McCoy said. I mean, listen, you get a player like Garrett who is an all-pro and consistent even at 29 years old. And I've heard Bucs fans this week say, I wouldn't get him. It's too much. What are you talking about? Your championship window is open. Let's go for it. Let's make the move here.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Go ahead, Ray.
That's the irony for me. Is it that because your championship window is open, you wouldn't normally make that move with this defense? When you look at the fact that you could put a Myles Garrett with the pieces in place, this is the kind of move you make because you're pretty sure you're putting together a championship team, and then that's not even getting into the type of character and person that Myles Garrett is.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that,
he'll be, I haven't had a good end to me since I've seen Simeon Rice. Man.
Well, I think, listen, JPP was pretty good. Shaq Barrett for that 1 year, couple years was pretty good. Yeah.
the guys that was in the Super Bowl after we owned the Patrick Mahomes, you know, them guys that was great, but I'm talking about, you know, we need someone like right now, and I hope Jason do the right thing and do not let it wind up in Detroit.
Well, yeah, that would definitely. Well, Myles Garrett could.
Myles Garrett, Detroit.
Oh, with
though, but even with Myles Garrett, Detroit, there's just some teams just have numbers. We went to Detroit this last season and we whooped their butts. And we came home here and we brought the Eagles in here and we whooped their butts. And the problem was there was just some games where because of matchups and some down plays, we got our butts whooped. But you could put Myles Garrett on a Detroit team. I figured that we'd still figure out a way to throw short and around him.
Yeah, and like I say, I would love to see him here.
I would too.
Like, let's show your Bucs fans, that you can maneuver.
So you're willing at this point, you're willing at this juncture to trade premium picks and pay Myles Garrett. You're willing to do this. You're willing to make this trade. That's what you're saying.
What are we talking about?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, how?
We got some breaking news here, and this is in the boxing world, and of course you know the reason why I got the Rolex. I got a Rolex from Jake Paul. According to Bleacher Report, about 1 hour ago, and KR, who's on TikTok, he's breaking news tonight. Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a cruiserweight fight in Las Vegas on May 3rd. So there you go. Canelo Alvarez.
I guess Jake and
yeah.
Canelo Alvarez. That's a serious bout. That's a serious bout.
That's a serious bout. Yeah, that's very serious.
Bout.
Yeah, so there you go. Congratulations to Jake Paul, and of course, most valuable promotions getting that done.
Do we know for sure though? Did Jake Paul reach out to the George Foreman group and make sure that he didn't want to throw a fight first before he went over and took over this?
Be quiet.
He's a boss.
Oh, stop it! No, come on now. Come on now.
We're getting up. No, this kid. No, Mr. Williams. I hear you laughing, so you know. Yeah, Jake Paul. Here's a kid that really respects the sport of boxing to the point that even though it seems like maybe fights of his are manipulated because he's trying to take advantage of some, what he's really trying to do is build interest back into the sport, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, because they big.
Mr. Williams doesn't care.
They knock him out.
Yeah, that might.
Mr. Williams care. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Mr. Williams like, yeah, I care about what you just said, but yeah, I don't really care at this point. You watched the Mike Tyson fight. Yeah, the fight was not very good.
It was funny, man. It was funny.
It was
because everybody that knows boxing, everybody knows Mike Tyson could have beat him up in 3 rounds.
Well, now I don't know about.
Mr. Williams, don't forget the best part. The best part was we were trying to figure it out over 6.5 hours because of the streaming issues. So it's like not only was it this fight where every time Jake would lean in, he'd pull back because Mike Tyson would cover over, and we'd stream and it was locked for about 1.5 minutes. It was crazy.
Yeah, well, it's like your streaming issue right now there, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I think it's
my streaming's problem.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's better now.
Let's get back to football.
Yeah, let's get back to football. So Myles Garrett. Yes, on that. You're trading multiple picks and paying Myles Garrett. Okay, so you're on board with that. All right.
Yes, sir, man, because, hey, look, we need help.
Yes.
And, let's fix bring a couple of pieces into my secondary.
Well, yes.
Even now, right, Jamel Dean, he's a good guy to me. I see if I can work something out with him, but if not, hey, go out there, you touch free agency, and I'll go draft Nickel.
Okay, all right,
Mr. Williams. I ask you, Mr. Williams should. And here's the question. I think the guy had some injury issues, but when he came back here because he was a decorated player on his defense and went out to New York, played for the Jets for a year and a half. Is Jordan Whitehead a part of the Buccaneers 2025's plan, or they got to figure out a way to just shore up that back end? And maybe Jordan Whitehead doesn't have to be there.
Jordan Whitehead, he's all right, but he got to get better. But my God, please, let's keep number 31. Let's get him back healthy, man. Let's get Whitfield back healthy.
It's all about being healthy at this point. Mr. Williams, they definitely need to get healthy. We appreciate the call, my friend. I'll get Harry to get those wings for you. Always love here on the Evolution.
Those wings.
Phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter, along with Best of the Bay, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy!
I don't know why I like that. It's so funny, though.
I love that.
Talking about Myles Garrett. Now, this is from Diana Rossini. She says, one NFL GM says, what would a trade cost? Probably a 1. They will say 3 1s, crowd not happening, a 1 and a 2, or 1 and 2 3s, throw a player in there. We've heard Gerald McCoy this week on Radio Row, go on the Jim Rome show, and also, again, WDAE in care of. He said, you can either go corner or edge rusher, his greatest offseason need, but our 4 leading guys in sacks were 3 inside interior rushers and Levante David. You got to have somebody who can win a one-on-one on the edge. If the Bucs had what they needed, they would have went and got Shaq. They wouldn't have gotten Shaq at the end of the year going into the playoffs. This is not a shot at those guys. Wow. We have it. The reality, of course, Tampa Bay's edge rushing attack was indeed quite dire. There were 4 different players who weren't edge rushers and had more sacks than the most potent edge rusher in Yaya Diaby, who got 4.5 sacks. So is this the time to go out there and get an edge rusher? Garrett has been talked about. McCoy has been there. He says to Jim Rome this week also, he says, Jason Light, go do everything in your power to get this guy to Tampa. First round picks are 50-50 anyway. Myles Garrett is 100%. He isn't just 100%. He's 500%. This guy isn't just good. He's dominant. Maybe a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
We'll get back to that thought in a moment. Let's go out to the phone line. Sun Devil Dave, welcome to the Evolution, my friend. Great job.
Great job, man.
Great job. Yeah.
Hail Patrick Mahomes.
There you go. Exactly. There is the got to get that sound effect because Dave, he mentioned it, and we got our sounds back, by the way. So let's go ahead and get that on.
Yes!
We got to get Sun Devil Dave a sound effect. I threw this out there. Let me go full screen really quick, and we'll talk to you in a minute here. But for all you web heads out there, because we can't use any theme music, how would you like anytime you call in to get your sound effect? Let me know what kind of sound effect you want in reason. If I don't get copyrighted by YouTube or Facebook, and we will get you a sound effect every time you call. So how about that, Sun Devil Dave? So what are we thinking for your sound effect? Is it going to be all hail Patrick Mahomes at this point?
I think that was just for the Super Bowl, and because it's coming up. But quickly, we were looking at some numbers. I know that the Referee Association came out.
Yes,
they were saying how they're insulted to think that they were favoring Chiefs calls, but since 2021, about the penalty disparity. I think they had like 8 roughing the passer penalties going against the Chief opponents, where I think the Chiefs only had 1 or 2 since the 2021 playoffs. They talked about the other penalties they had.
Wow.
There was a disparity that they're like, a lot of the Chiefs fans said, why don't you include 2020 and 2021? Now, if you do go back to that Super Bowl game, I think that the Chiefs had like 11 penalties for like 120 yards, and the Bucs only had like 4 for 40 yards.
You don't say.
Now that's because Brady was there,
right?
And I think a lot of times after Brady didn't go to Super Bowl, they said, okay, we're going to pass the torch to Patrick Mahomes. So he's the Mahomes.
Well, they did though, because it was. Well, Dave, it was deserved. It passed to Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid coaches that team better. And the reason why they don't get as many penalties is they're better coached and better ran. And, of course, when they came up against the Bucs in 2020 and 55, they came up against a team that was not only coached by Bruce Arians, but was actually being coached by Tom Brady, which brings us back to 59 here in New Orleans this season. If Patrick Mahomes gets his third in a row, has he tied and or passed Tom Brady as the greatest of all time, or is there some other benchmark?
Wow, how can you say that?
I mean, that's
Brady,
what I'm saying.
Brady
Like
has 10 Super Bowls.
This is the listen. This is the nonsensical, and I can go full screen on this. This is the nonsensical stuff they continue to peddle out there when it comes to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Well, he broke this record. He broke that. Yeah, he was around for 10 or 11 more years than Michael Jordan. Credit to him. But it doesn't matter if you're around for 25 years and you win like 10 championships. You still have 3 or 4 losses at this point. I mean, enough with this nonsense. Yes, it's amazing what the Kansas City Chiefs have done besides against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55. Got to mention it. Sorry. Got to dig into that scab. I'll dig it.
Every time you get a chance, you got to.
Every time I get a chance, I got to remind Buccaneer fans.
But the thing is, don't forget that Tom Brady was the one that beat Patrick Mahomes in 55, so that kind of tears into his legacy at all. But then all of a sudden, this is the chance for Patrick Mahomes to become the first quarterback in the history of the entire National Football League to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, to make 5 conference championships in 6 years, to make 4 Super Bowls in 6 years and win 4 of them. I mean, it's crazy, the numbers. And Tom had a 10-year period where he didn't make a Super Bowl in the middle. And so we're not saying maybe that Mahomes hasn't already passed him, but if he locks up this win, gets his 3rd in a row this weekend, then we're just waiting for the next thing he does. Maybe he just has a slight fart as he steps across a rock, across a little brook, and we're like, okay, that was the one that pushed him across. Because honestly, he wins his 3rd in a row, and he's literally right at the heels, chomping at the bit of Tom Brady's heels.
All right, really quick, we got some breaking news. Kevin O'Connell named AP NFL Coach of the Year after guiding the Vikings to 14-3 regular season record. So it wasn't Andy Reid. Go ahead and play that sound effect again there, Sunday Double Dave.
Can I do it one more time?
Yeah, do it one more time, please.
Shoot.
Let's see.
I can't go back because I already played it. And hold on.
All right, you got to play this now.
Ball is snapped, man.
I can't do it. I have to go back. It takes a while.
All right, so there you go. You played that. So yeah.
Real quickly.
Yes.
Is Tampa Bay Ray there?
Yeah, Tampa Bay Rays on with yes. Go ahead.
Hey, I got to switch gears real quick. I was at this burger joint and somebody just brought up the 2020 World Series and they're complaining about Cash, how he pulled Snell.
Yes.
And I need some honest explanation. So when I'm looking at that game, first of all, when I look at the roster, I'm looking up Choi, Diaz, Rosarena, Meadows, Renfro, Lowe, Margot, Wendell. Okay, out of those guys, Adames too, right? And Brousseau.
Right.
How many of those guys do you think would start on the Dodgers that year?
They would not. Maybe not 2.
Maybe
not even that.
Yeah, Rosarena with the streak he was having, but remember he wasn't.
That was it. Yeah. So none of those guys that the Rays had would be starters on the Dodgers.
Correct.
Here's the line for the Dodgers: Betts, Seager, Turner. What the fuck? This is like an all-star squad. Hernandez,
I know.
Hold on, Bellinger.
Yep.
Taylor.
Yep.
Pollock.
Yep.
Peterson.
Yes.
What the fuck is this?
Yes.
Sorry.
It's crazy. It's all right.
It felt like a bubble World Series, right? It was in a bubble.
Hall of Fame squad. So here, Tampa Bay Ray, when Snell was struggling in the 6th inning, Cash looked at his bench. He looked at these guys, Choi, Diaz. It was a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
He looked at the Dodgers. Rotation. The relief. He basically said to himself, "No one's going to score. We're going to have to win this game 1-0, right?"
Yeah.
Then he's going to say, "Okay, my relief has been, they beat the Yankees and the Astros. I got to run the bullpen and try to get 9 outs."
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when I look at the 2020 World Series, and I loved it and everything about it, I know the Rays lost. That World Series was lost before the season began because of the Rays ownership and management not having the motivation and the testicular fortitude, like Mr. Foley would say.
Wow, very good.
That's a Leo word.
That is definitely
to go out and keep players because Cash did the best he could with a $70 million payroll.
Yeah.
in the world, and I think that he had to go to the bullpen. So all this talk about, oh, you pulled Snell and da.
I'm crying, brother, because
you could. So I need your opinion on that.
Well, let me just add something. They didn't have to take out Snell. I get it. There was a man.
Well, Peter,
but
yeah, you could have let me ask the question first because I'm talking to Dave, right?
Yeah, Sun Devil Dave. Yes.
Sun Devil Dave, because you sound like someone you know exactly what I know, that he had, because of the way he played analytics all year, because of the way this team had won, because of the way the guys in the locker room believe how they can win by sticking to the tried and true method that got them to that World Series. He did have to pull Snell there, didn't he?
He had to. I mean, because if you look at Snell, I think when he was against the Astros and Yankees, when he hit to that 60, 70 pitch marks, and then he got blown up, right? Then he gave up like multiple runs.
I know. Okay, Pete.
Nah.
Maybe he would have stayed in. He would strike the side out 4 times in a row. Who knows?
I don't
feel
pull
that
him.
his lineup, do you believe that when he looked at that lineup of Choi, I mean, nobody was hitting in that game except for Rosarena. Everyone was doing brutal. Meadows, Renfroe 125, Lowe 125.
I get it.
Wendell 111.
I get it. But when you have a guy that's
no one
dealing,
was hitting, so he probably looked at his lineup. He says, "We're not going to score any more runs against this Dodgers bullpen."
Well, listen, that is definitely on management. That's definitely on the ownership for not putting money in there, and that's what I've always go back to. Me and Tampa Bay Ray, we go back and forth on ownership. And I love it.
Oh, we do.
They do to a certain degree, but I feel like if they just added, 20 to 30, it's not my money. It's not the fans might feel, oh my God, it's such a great story with the Tampa Bay. And I'm going to go full screen here. I got to go right here. It's a great story every year because I don't spend any money. Great. It's the same story over and over again. It's like a superhero movie. I want you to finish the story. Add $20 to $30 million. Go out there, get a bat. Go out there, get an extra pitcher to help you out. But at that point, Snell was dealing. I get it. He ran into some trouble. But if a pitcher is dealing, and you could see, the Dodgers lineup perk up there because they went to the bullpen, and sure enough, in Ray's true fashion, they blew it from the bullpen. They should have left Snell in. I'm willing to take my chances with Blake Snell at that point. And I don't think it was a Kevin Cash decision. I think it was an upper management decision. And
that's the truth. That's the truth. And the thing is, and that'll be the perfect irony about 2020 will always be that we'll always feel that if Blake would have been left to stay in there, he would have struck the side out, would have got what we needed instead of playing analytics, which all the analytics that they played all season to put them in a position to make this call in a World Series. You take Blake out because he was ready to come out. So it's like, as much as we can look back and go, oh, this is the breaking point where we're just back to I don't know if Sun Devil Dave remembers that. We were up coming up in game 2. The Rays came out strong, and then there was a weather thing. Like, shut the game down for like 45 minutes to an hour because there was like some weather and some wind in Philadelphia. And after that slowdown, the Rays never got their mojo back. It's just weird how you got to get hot at the right time.
Well, just remember if they had
season you're talking about.
Yes.
08 World
Series.
08.
Remember
that?
You added Jason Bay at the time, and I know Jason Bay didn't move on with Boston, but if you trade some prospects and you maybe add Jason Bay to that lineup, I don't know, maybe you get an extra hitting because the Rays lineup went quiet. I get it was Evan Longoria, BJ Upton was the guy was the only one that was hitting at the time.
Carl Crawford.
The whole lineup went cold at this point. We got some breaking news here. Sun Devil Dave, I'm going to let you go, my friend. Use that second call.
Sun Devil Dave, love talking to you tonight, brother.
Yes, use that second call, my friend. The breaking news, and we're going to go out to Travis Faley here of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. It looks like Josh Allen has won the MVP to a surprise to no one, in my opinion, because I thought Allen was the clear cut. A lot of people say Lamar Jackson, but let's go out to Travis Faley here of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Welcome to a special Thursday night edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's going on, boss?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. And were you guys just talking about Rays and Dodgers from 2020?
We were talking about
baseball.
The Tampa.
It sure seemed like an extended segment for, the fact that there's Super Bowl Sundays this week against one of the best matchups that we've seen in a long time. And what's going on with Ray? Is it Halloween or something?
Oh,
he looks like a cross. He's got some Santa Claus cross thing, and he looks like some cat with some hair loss disease going on. What's going on? With
well, you got to think. You got to think.
Travis, I didn't want to say anything.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say anything, but it's business above. It's business up above, but it's a party down below.
You had to ask.
How could you not ask?
Yeah, well, it was definitely the spectrum tonight is taking a day off or taking a night off or taking a month off or taking a year off because the internet is back to dial-up internet, and Ray is experiencing that as we speak.
I thought
that's your experience in that.
Spectrum. I thought you were saying Ray was on the spectrum for a minute there.
Well, no,
I didn't know where you were actually
spectrum,
going with that.
spectrum internet has abandoned him at this point. He's got the dial-up. Yes. So.
Okay, good talk. All right, so
yeah, great talk. Hot takes with
hey,
Travis
hey,
Bailey. Hey,
absolutely.
Yes.
So while you guys be watching the Super Bowl, I know I'm going out to the beach this weekend because pinball at the beach is happening at the Trade Winds on this weekend. So that's where I'll
Travis
be.
Bailey, are you a pinball wizard, my friend?
I don't like to toot my own horn, and if I could toot my own horn, I'd stay home every day.
Hold on. Oh, you gotta love it. Yes.
I digress. No, it's gonna be a great event out at the Trade Winds.
Pinball wizard.
Pinball at the Trade Winds.
Yes.
Some of the best players in the world.
From the Who. You know that song, Travis and Ray? You know what I'm talking about? The Who.
It's Peter. Seriously, you're calling me out on my music acumen. Right?
Go ahead, come on.
He sure plays a mean pinball. Okay, yeah, I think I'm very familiar. Pete.
Okay, there you go.
The Who actually retired in 1988, and then they did a tour.
They did
over and over and over and over. So they never really retired.
Okay, well they never do. Rock bands ever. I mean, the Rolling Stones are still rolling out there. It seems like it's 125 years, and Keith Richards is about 200 years old and still rocking. So you gotta love that.
Yeah, Keith Richards is amazing. But let's get back to the game. So, What do you guys like about this game? What are you thinking about this matchup? I just turned on, I should say, a couple minutes ago. So
he's turned on by you there, Ray.
I caught your riveting baseball talk in the middle of at the end of football season. I was just stunned. I was surprised you guys weren't talking about wrestling. But anyways, I digress.
Listen, we had the Royal Rumble, okay? So all you wrestling fans out there, Turnbuckle Talk, we didn't have it this week, but Jey Uso Yeet actually won. So I don't know if you guys were excited about that, so you can chime in. But you're exactly right.
I haven't stopped shaking. I've been so excited since
I can tell. I can tell, man. You're a big-time wrestling fan. You're definitely a part of the webhead culture here on the sports web. By the way, 296,000 viewers on Facebook. We appreciate the support, but you're exactly right.
See, I think Pete, that the people out there don't understand your sarcasm, but they get mine. So you calling me a diehard wrestling, it just went over your whole audience's head. But did you see the nice win by the Lightning time?
I did not get a chance to see it because I was on the show, but they won 5-1. I mean, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning really quick. Actually, you know what? Before we get to that, Super Bowl 59, I like this matchup because I definitely think the Philadelphia Eagles can win it on the premise of that run game there. Saquon Barkley, can that Chiefs defense stop them? If you do stop Saquon Barkley, I think you put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands. And people are not talking about the plethora, Leo word, of weapons that you have on the outside with an A.J. Brown, a Devontae Smith, and a Dallas Goedert there. So I think that favors the Eagles. I definitely think they could beat the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes down to it. I don't know why, but how do you go against the Chiefs at this point? I don't know. I mean, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, you're shaking your head like you either are stroking out right now or having.
But did you guys see back about 4 or 5 weeks ago that literal best catch of the season DeAndre Hopkins had when they were trying to make it they had to get the one touchdown to make it into the postseason to lock up home field advantage for those Chiefs? Did you guys, either of you guys see that?
100%. 100%.
Yes.
And
no, you guys didn't because it didn't happen. They haven't even used D-Hop yet, and that's going to be the key for this.
That's absolutely not true. That's absolutely.
He had a catch
throughout the season until what's his name, Hollywood Brown came back and Juju got back into the mix.
Well, Xavier Worthy also had Xavier Worthy too. Yes.
100%. So you go with Worthy, then you got the 3 tight end set with Watson, Gray, and with Kelsey, and with Pacheco and Hunt. So this matchup is phenomenal when it comes to the offensive skill set and the weapons on each team. And that's the big key here is Mahomes, or are the Chiefs and Mahomes going to be able to manipulate that secondary of the Eagles and put up over 30 points? And because I don't think that Spagnuolo defense of Kansas City is going to give up 30-plus points to the Eagles, even with those weapons, because he's going to throw some schemes at Hurts that I don't think Hurts has seen all season.
And let's face it, listen,
exactly
the first
what happened to Josh Allen almost 2 Sundays ago.
Well, listen, you score 32 points, but you give up 29. You should have won that game. That's on the Bills defense, not on Josh Allen. So once again, congratulations to Bills Mafia and, of course, Josh Allen for an MVP season, of course, being 0-4 versus Patrick Mahomes. I guess that would be a consolation prize with winning the MVP. But you're exactly right. And you go back to that first matchup, and I think a lot of Eagle fans would agree with this. The Eagles dominated, the majority of that first half until Jalen Hurts fumbles the ball. And, of course, we know you have to nearly play a perfect game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you don't, they will make you pay. And the momentum changed at that point. The Chiefs took over that game, and, of course, they won. And there was a call, and there may be another controversial call. Water is wet, taxes are due, and you're going to get some type of crazy call.
Hey, Pete.
In favor of the Chiefs. So,
hey, Pete Travis, you want to know one of the worst feelings in the world is that we took the Chiefs to overtime. We shouldn't have even done it. We should have went for 2. And then, of course, Mahomes got the ball and drove him down the field, got a touchdown. I was at not only last year's playoffs victory where we embarrassed those Eagles, but I was there earlier this 2024 season when we beat the shit out of them. And I'm like, there are other games in there, and that's the reason why we play the games. Everything, it works out for the way it does. Who's injured, who's not, what happens, good luck this week. But one of the hardest things about this Super Bowl is and then they're painting it about the fact that Tom Brady having been the only quarterback to beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl, is that it does tie back to Tampa Bay. We've beaten these teams. We've actually owned these teams over the last couple of years. Now we'll sit back and see which one of them will be crowned the 2024 champion. But I'm not saying it's not an easy jump to get there. But going back to the Commanders game, there's no reason why this Buccaneers team shouldn't be the one here playing those Kansas City Chiefs there this weekend in New Orleans.
Well, and it comes down to, like Travis said, I think it comes down to Philadelphia's defense. Can Philadelphia do enough defensively versus Patrick Mahomes and those weapons? And they do have Kareem Hunt. I think the scary thing about the Chiefs, which could play into their favor, is they got a defense that can get after Jalen Hurts. Do you agree with that, Travis?
Well, 100%. And the fact that Carter's a little bit banged up as far as being a little bit sick right now. I mean, if that guy's not 100%, that even helps the Chiefs. But
right.
Guys, really, though, I mean, there's so much dislike for the Chiefs, and there's obviously incredible dislike for the Eagles. I mean, the people that are rooting for the Eagles are obviously Eagle fans and people that don't want the Chiefs to win again.
Correct.
And they don't want them to win again because for many reasons, most of all, thinking that they get the calls on a regular basis, which, I don't believe in the conspiracy. They want the Chiefs to win theory. I don't think it really does anything for the ratings, or I don't know. I don't really know, but I don't think there's a huge conspiracy theory.
I think they're
that's brought down by the NFL and Roger Goodell and the refs and all that. I think that is it's ridiculous.
The good teams get good calls because they're good coached and they make good decisions. So you'll think, wow, they got all the good calls. Well, no, that's just because they're coached great. They make good calls. The players know when to stop, know when to hold, know when to fold them. So at the end of the day, we can go ahead and make excuses. Oh, Mahomes and the Chiefs got another. No, it's just they played the game right. They're coached right. But I'm sorry, Travis, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. But that's why this whole Super Bowl has a little bit of a malaise to it in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I mean, we as football fans and fans of sports in general, and the way the Eagles fans carry themselves makes you automatically have a dislike for the Eagles.
I don't have a dislike for the Eagles, though, Trav.
Well, I don't, because they're jerkies, and
they're jerkies.
The majority of their fans are. Yes,
I'm refraining from using 4-letter words on each show out of respect for him.
No, that's happened here lately.
So,
yes,
It has happened a lot more than it should be. But here's the thing. I go back to 99, 98. I go back to when Donovan McNabb was with Chip Kelly and the Eagles or Andy Reid, and they were owning us until, of course, we got over the top against them. And then once we got over the top against them, then we realized we weren't going to get over the very, very top. That's when Dungy loses his job and Gruden comes in. And to go back to 79, that was the team we played to win, to beat, to go out and lose 9-0 to the Los Angeles Rams in the NFC Championship game in 79, the worst the first year. So the Eagles have always tied in, but we've owned them as of late. We've seriously owned them as of late. And I forgot.
Nothing to do with that. Doesn't have anything to do with this conversation about people having.
It doesn't. I'm sorry. I love you, Travis.
What the Eagles have done against the Bucs over the last multiple decades has nothing to do with disdain for Eagle fans.
It doesn't.
Right. I don't know where you're coming from with this.
I'm drunk. Don't judge me.
And then the other side of this Super Bowl is people don't like Eagle fans because they're jackasses. 100%.
Yes.
And you know that, and I know that.
Yes.
So, there is a little bit of this, like, do I really care about this Super Bowl because I don't like both of these teams?
True.
Well, if you're a football fan like I am, like you are, Ray, and like Peter is, we're going to watch the game, and hopefully it's a good game, and there aren't any garbage calls out there.
Well, Travis, let me ask you, though, 2 questions. In 2025, how are you going to continue covering the USF Bulls for Rocket Sports and Science, but also for Rocket Sports? But also, you talked about the Chiefs.
Rocket Sports and Science. So
I got that too, Pete. I wasn't going to justify that ridiculous statement.
I'm freaking Hawaii IPA. But Travis, I love you. No,
or what train he's on, what track he's going to derail off of. So I won't even.
Wait, Trav. Let me pull it back.
Rocket Sports and Science here.
Like, what the hell? What would Travis be doing with science? He figured out that, condensation. No, Travis is smart, actually. He's a great guy.
You're not blinding us with science on this. Right? Holy moly. Can you hit the sounder of jackass?
I
can do it. I'm ready.
I can hit this.
I'm going to end this fantastic phone call with this. What's your prediction for the game on Sunday?
I like Kansas City to win, even though I'm actually rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles because I like to see somebody else win, and I want to see Saquon and Jalen Hurts get it done. I think Kansas City will end up winning. That's my opinion.
Ray, what do you think? We don't have a score prediction. Come on, Pete, do your job.
Yeah, Pete, come on.
I don't know. I'm not really good with score. You know what? I'm going to go. I'll go close. I'll go 27-24 Kansas City over Philadelphia.
That's exactly my score.
Wow. That's exactly minds think alike. That scientist thing is working out.
Yeah, it's science. That's it. But I do want to say one more thing before I get off.
Yes, talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, please.
I'm hoping that they can bring maybe Yanni Gord back from Seattle. And I think Josh Allen shouldn't have won the MVP, and I think it should have been Saquon Barkley.
Wow. Well, hot takes.
Thank you.
Yes. Of Rocket Sports and Science.
He's going to be the offensive player of the year. There's no doubt about it. But
but Trav, you've been watching the honors tonight?
No.
It's cheesy.
I'm too busy watching the Traders and watching the Lightning, Ray.
You're too busy watching the sports web, Trav. Come on.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's good. All right, Travis.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with Ray and his magic.
He said,
"This is my room d'amore."
He's had a little bit too much tonight. Yes.
Lastly, get to Rocket Sports and Entertainment, and if you do see me out at Pinball on the Beach, say hi. There are tickets still available for that. It's going to be a great event, and if you do play the silver pinball, come on out there. It's going to be a great time.
All right.
Brother.
Right there. He blinded all of us with science tonight of Rocket and Science, Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Travis Bailey, we appreciate the call, man.
And Ray, there's a thing called the Razor. You might want to invest in it. See you guys.
Now, what people don't know, Peter, is that he may be the Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Science, may be one of the most gifted photographers that we know. The gifts, the shots he gets. I don't know how he knows where he gets exactly. Well, obviously he looks at the lighting and the drive's heading this way, but he gets over there. But some of the shots he gets, just I'll tell you what, captures sports in a way that you really never even realized you had a chance to look at sports.
All right, yes, absolutely. KR also has the breaking news: Josh Allen wins MVP. So Buffalo Bills.
Sorry,
that's all right. A lot of people thought. Saquon Barkley. I want to get back.
Saquon. Had to be Saquon.
I want to get back to this Myles Garrett talk, and then we'll end off of the night. Tampa Bay Ray, appreciate the time as always, but let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go out to Kansas City, Chiefs fan from Launceston, Tasmania. Hi, thank you very much. So right there, Australia. That's always great. James Ludeman, do I want to see Philly win? No. Do I want to see a 3-peat for KC? No. Who am I rooting for? I guess Philly due to
the Taliban. He's rooting for the Taliban. He's like, if some major thing happens, the game stop, nobody wins.
Yeah, good. Yes! Good one right there, James. Appreciate you as always. Hi, how are you? How you doing? Upstate New York. Which would you prefer, watching the Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl or watching the Greek oil wrestling Tampa Bay Ray in Speedos and an inflatable tube of baby oil?
This guy sucks.
Well, let me tell you something. One would have a lot more friction than the other. It could be more entertaining, but I'm not one to judge.
I just don't want to even imagine that anymore. Thank you very much, Cam, or Upstate New York Times, whatever the hell you are. Hi, Peter Blake. How you doing? No, because we don't got a good time slot in Australia. Jamie says Bucs Warrior, Chiefs 3-peats. Okay, I'm in Australia. Appreciate that. I'm a Kansas City fan. Okay. Pamela Yan says, I'm from Leicester. Oh, same person. Thank you, Pamela, for being on Facebook and, of course, YouTube there. Kansas City fan because the time zones are different from Australia for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Why are the Super Bowl start times different to Australia time versus USA time? Well, it's Australia time and USA time. I'm not a scientist. Maybe we should ask Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Science that question.
If everybody would just come get a boat and we all would just moor into the Gulf of America, we could all just know exactly what time it is. Time to watch the Super Bowl.
Listen here, dickhead.
Sorry.
Mentioned the international Super Bowl, mentioned the international franchise. He keeps on mentioning it. Is it going to happen? Are you excited?
It's not.
I mean, he talked about it, and I want to get the exact comments here because Goodell was talking about international and all this other stuff in the State of the Union NFL address. Let's see.
From my recliner in my basement. That was COVID.
That's let's see here. Could lead. Okay. So I'm going to read this right now. Okay. I'm going to accept all. So thank you very much for that, AOL. He says, let's see here. I do think there's potential someday we're going to have an international franchise. He says, if we do, I think it would not surprise me at all if a Super Bowl follows and is played there. He also says about the Sao Paulo game there in Brazil. This was a great opportunity for them to get a sense of what it's like to be in our stadium during a game. With Goodell said to the fans, and to experience it and the reaction and the spark that it creates. And it is critical to our efforts. That's our job, to try to bring more fan access to global basis. So what do we make of this? Because once again, Goodell is not backed off of this. We talked to the great Paul Stewart of buckpower.com. He doesn't think it's going to happen, but Goodell continues to talk about not only an international franchise, but an international Super Bowl. So what do you rely on this?
They rely on the fact that it's American football. It's played within the borders of America. We're going to play a game in Australia. We're going to play a game at 8,000 feet in Mexico City. We're going to play a game, and that's fine because wherever a game happens, let's get it on. But trying to put a franchise, trying to put a Super Bowl, to say we're gonna put it takes away from the very specialness of having these satellite games played because it's American football. If it becomes the world football, and let me tell you, the only reason why I say that is, I mean, everyone's thinking, well, if they followed the actual football, they would own the world.
Football.
The NFL is never going to take over the world like soccer. Soccer owns the world.
Let's go out to this guy right here.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Roger Shue there.
Yes.
Today. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Best of the Base, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy.
Great show, gentlemen.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Real quickly, I got after hearing this, I now have visual in my head, and I have to say, I want Ray and the Greek in the oil wrestling.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I will do that. I will do that.
Nobody wants to see that at all.
It's better than the Super Bowl. It's better than the Puppy Bowl.
Yo, Roger, we'll call it battle to bury the baklava. And I mean, whoever buries the baklava wins the Oh yeah. Hey, you keep your baklava off me, buddy.
Roger, you entertain this nonsense, and this is what you get here. In fact, I'll go ahead. What would you rather see? Would you rather see Super Bowl 59 or Ray and Harry oil wrestle?
Think about it. Think about it.
Jesus Christ.
It's a beautiful thing.
I know we got Cam Decker here in upstate New York Times, which, by the way, is also Cam Decker. So he's chiming in, of course. All right. So, Roger, what else is on your mind? Jesus.
That's it, man. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Saquon. Run for 300 yards.
Yeah.
Do the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Bucs fans out there would agree with you.
I think the Chiefs are now approaching the Patriot level of hatred.
Definitely there. I mean, and a sports talk show host was talking about this the other day. Roger, thank you very much for the call. Open phone line 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. I heard this on Fox Sports Radio on Saturday, driving around Uber, of course, in the Go Bucs red Tesla there.
She's beautiful.
She's
beautiful. No, she's beautiful.
Gotta love it, right? So, you know what? I'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to the phone lines here. What's your name? Where you're calling from? You're on the Evolution.
Peter, what up? Jeremy, how you doing?
Jeremy, what's going on, buddy? Long time no hear. What are your thoughts tonight on Super Bowl 59? And where were you when the Bucs won the Super Bowl 55? Of course, 4 years to the day tomorrow.
Well, the Super Bowl, I'm not too excited. I don't want to see the Chiefs make history. But then again, I don't like the Eagle fans. They're disgusting fans, in my opinion. But if I had
fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, if I had to pick, I guess I want to see the Chiefs win because I just can't stand the Philly fans.
Okay, well, what would you rather see? Would you rather see Super Bowl 59 on Sunday night, or would you rather see Ray and Harry, the Greek?
No, wait, hold on. That's not fair.
On the oil wrestling match. What would you rather see that?
Ooh, tough one.
Thank you, Jeremy. Well, let me ask you this, Jeremy, right?
Yes, sir.
So, does the fact that if Mahomes wins this third in a row, a lot of people are starting to really maybe they're doing lazy math, but they're starting to say that if he wins the third in a row, becomes the first quarterback in the history of the National Football League to win 3 Super Bowls in a row, he is neck and neck, if not slightly pulling ahead of Tom Brady. Does that Does that give you a reason to root for those Eagles even more to beat him, or are you like, if he wins, he's earned it?
I mean, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, I don't want to see the Chiefs make history, but then again, I'd rather have more Super Bowl wins than the Eagles, if you ask me.
Oh.
I just don't like the Eagles. Their fans are just disgusting fans. That's all the way they treated the Commander fans. I just think it's just disrespectful. You know what I mean? I mean, if you win, you win. Enjoy the win, celebrate. But don't be a douchebag and, just egging on the other fans and pulling off their scrollies and stuff. Right. It's like 1,000 people against 2 people. That's not even a fair fight. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about Philly.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, if you're gonna be that kind of disgusting fans, then you don't deserve another championship. So
but if Reed wins another Super Bowl, we're gonna have at least 2 more of those commercials next year. We're trying to go get the other nuggies off of Mahomes' plate.
Well, we're definitely KFC Andy Reid right there.
It's all good.
I got a question for y'all too.
Okay.
The Chiefs.
Okay.
If the Chiefs do win the 3P, make history and all that, do you think it's Travis Kelce's last game as an NFL player?
It might be. It could be. I mean, what else does he have to prove at this point? It definitely could be. Could go away, be happy. have his relationship with Taylor Swift. I think a lot of people would be happy with watching him go away, do movies, because he's a part of
the media. Him and Jason have one of the best pods, if not the best pod in the entire country. And yeah, have a good time with it, because he still could run the camps with George Kittle, because he still could teach up and coming tight ends to become professional tight ends in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, this sport is a brutal, taxing, asks a lot of you sport. So you're not looking to get out of it as soon as you can, but if you have a chance to transition and then boom, it ends up with a Super Bowl title at the end, like John Elway did, which was probably one of my most favorite things. One of my most favorite things about John Elway's career was that he was able to win that Super Bowl and exit stage right, because you know, enjoy it, get out. Because man, people are staying too long. Sometimes those stories become a little bit sad.
They do become a little bit sad, and you don't want to see shell of themselves. So it's a great point, and we saw it this year with Kelsey, you know, losing that separation, not necessarily being the player, whether it's the physical body, whether it's, you know, father time being undefeated, or the fact that, you know, he's just happy being right now Mr. Taylor Swift. I should say, man, not Mrs., but Mr.
Wait, when did we go politics on it? I thought we were talking about football players.
We are talking about football here. I'm just
saying
a lot again of you know, fans out there get tired of seeing it, but he's doing movies now. He's a part of Happy Gilmore too. You saw that preview there. The trailer.
He's so good.
I mean, we'll see how it works out, but he's definitely got some opportunities if he wants to walk away from the game. But Jeremy, it's a great question. It really is. Patrick Mahomes, he's still, you know, in his prime at this point. So who knows? That would definitely be a major loss for the Chiefs if he does walk away. But, you know, anything is possible, I guess. Really quick, you want to see the Bucs go after Myles Garrett, and what's your best memory besides the Bucs winning Super Bowl 55 4 years ago?
I remember I was a little depressed because I work in the healthcare field, and I remember Roger Goodell was offering free Super Bowl tickets for healthcare workers. But he never said the stipulation what you had to do, and unfortunately, you had to get COVID shots. I didn't know that.
No, well, that you had to have breasts. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, it was a nice move by the league to do that. No, but you're right, Jeremy. You didn't hear about it until after. Go ahead, brother.
But I was disappointed. You know, I kind of called him out on social media, which, you know, he's not going to answer me. I'm just a guy. You know, but for the most part, I was at home cooking and watching my other coworkers get to go to the Super Bowl for free, you know, which they earned their right to. I was happy for them.
No, wait, were they rubbing it into you a little bit though, because they knew you really wanted to be there? Did anybody actually go, yo, I got this?
People were shocked because they knew how much of a big fan I was.
Oh,
you know,
man.
They were like, Jeremy, how come you're not going? I said, because, you know, our wonderful commissioner didn't name the stipulation. I thought just being a healthcare worker, risking my health, taking care of, you know, really.
No, and brother, first of all, thank you for your service, because every healthcare worker helped get us right sooner, and hopefully and for the better. But there were some trying times there, because, you know, we saw they had 65,000, you know, cut out posters over there, but then spiked in between there, they had some healthcare workers, and a lot of us were like, hey, I've got a bunch of friends that are healthcare workers, probably deserve it as much as anybody else. Why didn't they get in there? But, you know, I guess it's just politics.
Such a weird time at that point.
By the end of the day, not to cut you off, at the end of the day, I watched it from home and just enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
Watching the team just shut down Mahomes. You know, we're the only team that can beat the Chiefs when it counts.
And even said this week at Radio Row that it still haunts him from that Tampa Bay Super Bowl. So, you know, that's what Bucs fans should think about tomorrow, and also for the weekend. Even the Chiefs win, just know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and the only touchdown that the Chiefs had that day.
Here, give it, Pete. Make it right.
Was that TIA.
There you go. The TIA, a touchdown. They came into town to play that game. That's the only touchdown that the Chiefs made that weekend, isn't it, Pete?
That's it, my friend. 39 Buccaneers. All right, man. Myles Garrett.
But Myles Garrett, you know, I think it's a home run. If Light really wants to trade 2 first rounds, I think that's all it's going to take to get him. But I will throw this out there. I will throw you a bone here.
Throw it.
I feel, you know, it wouldn't hurt as much if we trade for a Hendrickson from Bengals.
Agree.
I think it wouldn't cost much to get him, maybe a second or a third, and you still got your first rounder to go get a corner or safety that can help the DB room. I think Hendrickson, I believe he's 30. He'll be 31 in December.
Correct.
Later this year, so it wouldn't hurt to trade for him as a consolation prize, and I feel like he's a piece to add to this team. But whatever, I'm all for Myles Garrett, whatever Light wants to do. But I think, like Scott Reynolds says from Pewter Report, one of my favorite people to listen to.
Yeah.
He mentioned that this team is a Super Bowl contending team. They're just a couple players on defense away to make that happen. The offense is fine. I think Godwin comes back. But you go get a guy like Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and don't rule out, Micah Parsons. He might be another name to look out for.
Micah Parsons,
he's another name that no one's talking about. Maybe he's not happy in Dallas. Who knows? But if it's Myles Garrett, it's a home run. You can't go wrong trading two first round picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't get your premium players, but he hits home runs from the second to the fourth round.
He does.
So from my point of view, you got to go get an elite pass rusher. You got to go get that to get after the quarterback. I like the kid from Marshall. I think he's going to be doing great things, but I don't think he's going to be there at 19. I think he's rising his stock.
Mike Green, and we'll talk about him. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about him in just a little bit also, yes.
Yeah. But for the most part, I'm all for it. As a Bucs fan, I think most Bucs fans over here are really for it, getting Myles Garrett. I know he would love to play here because we got a winning culture here, whether the Jaguars fans in Jacksonville want to keep, coming out of nowhere, coming out of hiding because they stole Liam Cohen.
Yes.
Then they want to run their mouth and whatever.
Correct.
At the end of the day, we're a winning culture. We're the best team in Florida. I don't care what Miami or Jacksonville says. And we're just going to get better. That's pretty much it.
That's what it comes down to. Yes. Really quick. I know you're a wrestling fan. We talked turnbuckle talk. What did you think about the Royal Rumble there? Did you like Jey Uso winning it? I thought he was the most over wrestler at this point. A lot of people want to see John Cena. I can understand the infatuation of, one last time there, but I don't think it was the moment. It was the great vehicle there to have Jey Uso versus John Cena to put him over. And I think eventually Uso will face Gunther at this point. But what did you think of Royal Rumble overall?
No, I'm happy for Jey.
Love it. Good.
I think Triple H definitely threw a curveball. I thought Jay's time will come next year, but I guess they're really pushing him hard right now. And him and Gunther, I think, will put on a banger match that they did at main event. I think Cena's got a good shot at the main event against Cody. Obviously, I think he'll win the Elimination Chamber. That's a feature prediction right there. Because obviously, they are trying to get Jey Uso over, which is, I'm not going to complain about it. There's so many matches that Triple H can put together. For the most part, my pick was CM Punk because he never won it.
My pick was that too, and I think eventually he'll end up in the main event somehow with that favor or something along those lines. So,
good point. No, it's a good point, Peter. I keep forgetting. Paul Heyman always won.
There you go.
I think he'll earn his right in there, make it a triple threat. Go crazy, make it a fatal 4 elimination.
Yeah,
just bring back the past. Bring some more, excitement in WWE.
Well,
Charlotte, I called, by the way, not to cut you off. I did call she was going to win it. I think she's going to put Tiffany Stratton over the top, at Mania.
She should.
That's my prediction.
Right.
I don't think they're going to do a Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair 3. They already face each other twice at Mania.
Nobody wants to see that.
No, I think we're at the point to where they want to put Tiffany Stratton over, who I think is a very underrated wrestler. I feel like her and Charlotte would tear the roof off, whatever they decide to do. But at the end of the day, Jey Uso, he earned it. The guy's been a competitor most of his career, and you can't sleep on Jimmy. I think they got big plans for Jimmy to get one of those titles, whether it's Intercontinental or US. But Jey, I think he'll finally win. Because they call him main event for a reason, right?
Yes.
You gotta let him main event.
Yes.
I think he'll take it off Gunther.
Absolutely. That's a good point. All right, my friend. Good stuff there. And you're exactly right with Seth doing what he did to Roman, what he did to CM Punk, having that. And he saw Kevin Owens turn on, once again, Sami Zayn, some interesting matchups coming up for WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. And we haven't even talked about the final boss with The Rock and where does he equate in this. Appreciate the time as always, Jeremy. All right. Use that second call if you want to, my friend. All right.
Yeah, yes, sir, man. Like I said, I always enjoy being on the show.
Yes.
Man. Like I said,
yes.
Like I said, you bring a lot of excitement, like you always do, man. Take care, man.
Yeah, man. Absolutely appreciate you as always. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to Tampa Bay Ray. The connection looks 100% better. So I don't know what you did at this point if you reset Spectrum, but Spectrum, we appreciate you cooperating tonight after that debacle of I don't know what that was. Let's go out to Jim Melvin here. We're going to get him on the show here. He's written a piece about growing up in Coquina in the 1960s. Longtime Bucs fan, so very interesting story. We'll get him on here in the next week or two. One of my daughters is a registered nurse in Tampa Bay area. She was able to go to the game. I have her ticket framed in my man cave. Very cool there. Jim says Snoop Dogg has somehow become Morgan Freeman. Never thought you would see that. Let's see. Ray has some nice $20. $20 is $20 eyes. Is Ray single? No, upstate New York. He's married.
Share those DMs.
Yeah. Werfs handled Garrett pretty well the last time they played each other. But could you imagine them going back and forth to practice, how much you improve? And then once again, Garrett, having an opportunity to work with young guys like, of course, a Yaya Diaby, a Kalijah Cansey. It would be amazing in itself. Good stuff there, Christopher. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Let's go out to Jim again. A 20-year-old Tyson would have knocked Jake Paul out in less than 30 seconds.
That would. A 20-year-old Tyson knocked out everyone in the world within 20 seconds.
In that last fight, he was chewing his gloves, but it was, it was.
Well, he started doing the wacky. No, I'm kidding. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the roommate just came in here, said, we got to wrap this up here pretty soon.
Let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. I like how Ray sips the cup. Does Ray have an OF? I don't even why I'm reading.
What's an OF?
Christopher Cole, OnlyFans. I would keep as many quarterbacks as possible, add more to it. Jim says, I don't think a win will lift Mahomes over Brady, but just the fact that we're even having that discussion is pretty amazing. Christopher Cole, 2021, the Rams were getting all the calls, especially in the playoffs against the Bucs and the Super Bowl. Who could forget that? The Dodgers keep adding payroll. They do. Travis Faley, is that Ray Kennedy? It was. Christopher Cole, it is. Cash should have left Snell for the least one more inning unless he got two men out.
Well, that's the story now. But at the time, there was a very make or break point that this was either the right or the wrong move. In retrospect, now we wish he would have left him in there because he might have kept them from getting those late hits and those runs in that inning. We would have won that World Series.
Yeah, and somebody just said, I think Roger Shue said, you got to fix your Allstott jersey. Well, I definitely got to fix that. I got to get a case for it. The case broke.
Yes.
Just have that on the ground. It's signed. Around the nation, the Wi-Fi has been pretty spotty. There's a little disappointed in the Charlotte Flair winning it. The Eagles' only chance is if Saquon goes all big. If he's held under 80 and no touchdowns, the Chiefs will dominate, win by 10 points, says Jim Melvin. Good comment there. Appreciate it. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Damn, what does Evans have to do to win Man of the Year? David says people are saying that the referees are not helping the Chiefs win the games, but they're not saying that when the Chiefs are playing Tampa. All I hear is referees are one-sided. Then Christopher Cole, Elon Musk of sports, laugh out loud. Jeremy says Trey Hendrickson makes some sense. Wouldn't cost as much to get him in the trade. Go Bucs. Good stuff there. Appreciate it. Yes! I don't want to see neither one. Laugh out loud. Christopher Cole, I would rather watch the Puppy Bowl. Christopher Cole. Bucs don't beat the Chiefs. They would be going for their 5th straight Super Bowl. Crazy how it is. And you know I'm right. Go Bolts. Lightning 5-1 over the Ottawa Senators. With that being said, really quick, give me some final thoughts on this Myles Garrett talk, because McCoy has talked it up. The cap figure at this point would be $19.7 per a year. He may ask for a large extension, according to Pewter Report here. But once again, Bucs could create $66 million in cap space by restructuring recent deals given to Mayfield, Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., Vita Vea, and Jamel Dean. Garrett may command premium picks, maybe $40 million a year. if you're Jason Light, if you're a Bucs fan, do you want to see this happen with the Garrett trade?
The reason why Todd Bowles is such a great defensive-minded coach and building a defense is because he realizes you can switch from year to year to year. You can go strong defensive line, you can go strong linebacker, go strong secondary. And the thing is, if Myles Garrett coming into this in this 2024 team, if Myles Garrett would have came in here in week 10 of this last season, I think there's no doubt that we beat Washington, we host the Vikings, we beat the Eagles, and maybe we're playing those Chiefs in Super Bowl 59 over there in New Orleans. Those are coulda, shoulda, wouldas. But the fact of the matter is, Myles Garrett, since the day he came from Texas A&M, also where Mike Evans came from, he is a generational player. So if Jason Light is sure that a defensive to having a Shaq Barrett 3 years ago that led the league at 19.5 sacks, to have that presence on the left side, if that's what this defense needs to put them over the top, then it would behoove, and that is kind of a Leo word because I don't know how to spell it, it would behoove Jason Light not to figure out how to get that deal done.
Good stuff, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, appreciate the time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. All right?
Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Good stuff there. So we'll come back. We'll end off this show on this, according to the Drafts Network of potential fits, because we'll be talking through the offseason, not only about free agency, but potential prospects for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as we always do. Marshall's Mike Green, the edge rusher, has been rising up draft boards. And in fact, according to Justin Mello, he says the Tampa Bay Buccaneers recorded a sixth best 46 sacks this past campaign. General Manager Jason Light believes in fielding a fierce pass rush, and does his head coach Todd Bowles. Together, Light and Bowles also believe in keeping the cup board full, reserving the right to rotate several defensive linemen up front. In describing Green, he said he fits Todd Bowles' defense, and Green would be outstanding fit for Bowles' scheme, one that would offer him an opportunity to attack opposing backfields with speed and relentlessness. Guys, thanks a lot for all the comments tonight. Thanks to Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, all your phone calls. Like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Also, like me on Instagram Live, TikTok now on there. I think it's P Blake 1003. So like there, we'll try to bring more live shows, and we'll keep it down at a level. At three things: you know them, you love them, you got to have them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Guys, enjoy Super Bowl 59, and you never know, we may go live again here, again on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Have a good night, and Bucs fans, just remember, 31-9 over the Kansas City Chiefs, 4 years till tomorrow.